somewhere between cravats and Canadians, between All Out and Starrcade 83, there resides a come-as-you-are fandom better than a bunkhouse stampede. Somewhere between 86 Crockett and modern-day New Japan, between 83 Memphis and some elite golden plans. There's a man who's had so many concussions he thinks CTE is he forgot that line. And a girl who makes Effie look just slightly curious from time to time. It's time for John and Rajja, or perhaps Rajja and John, as they will put over Corny as well as Mr. Tony Khan. We are the future, the present, and the past. You'll never see it coming. It's the Blind Tag Wrestling Podcast! And hello, and welcome to the Blind Tag Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, John, and joined alongside the woman who has a manila envelope full of payback for all men named Dusty. She is hell's least favorite harlot, the mysterious Rajja.
Hello.
And I'll tell you what, we're jerking the curtain this week with some legit excitement.
Oh, yeah.
We're on episode do. And you say do or deuce or duh or whatever you want to do.
I say 2.
Okay, well, we'll say 2. All kinds of stuff going on right now. Look, we got episode 2. We got Patreon exclusive episodes. 2 of those also being uploaded and released within the next week. That's right, fans. Within the next week. You buy 1, you get 2. And
Yes.
Pretty cool stuff, too, because we're going to be doing a deep dive into one of my favorite events I ever attended live, which would be Super Brawl 3 from 1993 in Asheville, North Carolina.
Super interesting stuff.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of cool stuff happening around then. And of course, as you will find out whenever we do one of these dives, we will have the road to the event and the fallout from when we covered the full thing like this. And I tell you, it was a great event to be there live. We got the return of Ric Flair. We have the freaking White Castle of Fear. I mean, how could you not go right with that? Just a lot of cool stuff, man. Cactus Jack, Matt Hardy in the crowd as a kid. Some really cool stuff, or whatever his gimmick name was. It's High Voltage or
High Voltage.
High Impact.
Sub-Zero and High Voltage.
Yeah. We'll also be, this the Omega days. Omega was like the tapes going around at the time with all that crop of high flyers that everybody fell in love with. Trust me, I remember greatly. We'll also be doing our first watch along, which is going to be a lot of fun. And this is also from the holy year of 1993 with the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Classic, Bluegrass Brawl. And that was in Pikeville, Kentucky. It happened on a date that will live forever in infamy, and we will tell you more about that on the Patreon podcast.
You only get the goods if you tune in.
Yeah, you can't hear about that on the regular show. It's a little bit too how do I say, too personal, I guess. But April 2nd, 93 was probably the first major Smoky Mountain event that I had missed. It was basically one of their first big major events anyway, but they'd had some other stuff like Volunteer Slam and all this stuff. But it's a great event. It's got one of the most raucous main events of anything ever. And yeah, this is not one of those network deals. This is going to be me guiding you to YouTube. And I'll tell you,
we're starting out with the sketchy stuff.
Yeah, I'll tell you on the Patreon when we get on there. I'll be like, okay, so this is a live link. You need to get here, and we'll just turn it up and let you hear it, so we can all go along with it. Looks like a lot of fun, though. I know it will be, because I mean, it's nothing but damn education, man. I never missed a Smoky Mountain show back in the day. I went to so many Smoky Mountain shows. I've had the Bruise Brothers thrown on my lap and everything else, but some really good stuff. We also have some more excitement as we have our first shirt ready for your consumption. And this one, listen, I'm sitting here looking at this nasty monkey, the purple wrestling monkey himself, and he has made his way not only to being our mascot, our spirit animal. Not only does he watch all wrestling with us, but now he has apparently become our logo.
Yes, he has.
Our official mascot.
He is part of the podcast, and there's nothing we can do about it.
No, and he does watch all the wrestling with us. Of course, he watches it with Hiromu's cats, but, that's a whole nother story. I don't know what he does to the cats when we're not looking, but...
I'd be more worried about what the cats would do to him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Listen, this one, as every fandom, if you will, or every group of listeners, however you want to call it, I'm just used to saying things like fandom, and so I'm going to say that again. You got a name. You got to have a name. You got to have a name right off the bat. The first show I ever played with my band, we not only had CDs, we had shirts, bumper stickers, everything.
Wow.
I went full Scorpio.
You're an overachiever.
I am a merch freak is what I am. And I don't like making stupid little things. We got the coolest shirt ever because we, along with you, are part of the Mark Order. And we need you to join the Mark Order by joining the patreon.com/BT Wrestling Pod. That's how you get there. That's how you join. That's how you contribute. And you got to get a shirt. Listen, you've seen that other shirt, that one that knocked off from this one.
Yeah, they stole our design.
Oh, yeah, except ours has purple monkey in the middle. And you can see it right now. We put up pictures after the show on our Facebook and everywhere for you guys to find out how you can join the Mark Order and get your shirt now. Be ahead of the crew, man. Be ahead of the crowd. We won't have it up forever. We're going to make these damn things a little bit limited. So we'll have it up for long enough for people to get theirs and everybody to get on the Patreon and start being part of this. If you already got 2 shows this week where we dropping stuff all the time, like it's very, very hot. But if you want to have that purple pill popping perverted primate with a penchant for Progresso, you definitely need to. I've always pronounced it like that, by the way. Japanese pro wrestling.
Yeah.
There's so many different arguments for it because it's actually just saying pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And
you'd have to ask a Japanese person.
Well, yeah, I mean, the pronunciation is them saying pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But everybody writes it out like that. And I've always said pure ro rezo.
They borrow a lot of words from English and just slightly change them to sound Japanese.
Pro rezo. I mean, you can hear someone saying pro
a little
wrestling.
Bit, yeah.
Pro rezo.
Yeah, I've seen the word written out before.
And I mean, it's always been one of those things. It's kind of a debate with people, and I've seen it written out like where someone's like, "Well, pronounce it pu-ro resu," which it just sounds like I'm being racist. That's what it says, like racist.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I love seeing it written out. The funny thing was when I first started like getting tapes and stuff and seeing it, I thought, man, that means strong style. I bet if I look that up, that's the word for strong style, which it has morphed into the Japanese style of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But it legitimately is pronounced pro wrestling. So.
Well, when I took 8 weeks of Japanese in 8th grade, because I obviously knew I was going to love Japanese pro wrestling before I ever did. I remember learning that they pronounce R's like an L and a D combined. I had so much trouble with that. Yeah. That's why the R's are so hard. I had so much trouble with that pronunciation.
You'd think you would pick right up because you had such trouble with regular R's, didn't you?
Oh, I did not have that much trouble.
I mean,
I only needed a few speech therapy classes to get my R's right.
Hey, listen, man. Who needs R's?
My name starts with an R.
Well, other than you, who needs R's? I mean, pirates.
Oh, Jesus.
That's really about it.
I would have made a terrible pirate as a child.
It's like, what's wrong with that person?
It'd be like, oh.
Does she have some kind of dental problem or what's going on?
I have plenty of problems, but
yeah, that's okay.
We'll just skip past that.
We all have problems. What is normal? I don't know. But be a part of the Mark Order. And listen, all our social media, the dirty bastard that it is, all our social media is the same because Rajja's smart and she made it all BT Wrestling Pod. And for those of you wondering, of course, that's Blind Tag Wrestling Pod. Now, a shirt that's not out yet, that's going to be out, so I'm going to tell you about it anyway, is our proper logo, which if you are on our social media, you've seen it. We got our logo.
Yes,
and our logo is cool, man. Listen, it's not over the top. It's nice. I like the lines. It's professional looking.
We did it right.
It's badass. I love it. I'm in love with the logo.
I love it too.
I come from a long, long life of logos because I've had a lot.
Yes.
This logo is my favorite logo.
Oh, high praise.
Yeah, my favorite logo I've ever had. Just because it's so clean.
Yeah, it's very nice looking.
It's not pretentious. It's like,
not loud and in your face, but you know what it is.
Yeah, because if I had been left to draw it, it'd be some like flaming dildo with, saluting a flag of indoor.
But you did draw it originally.
Yeah, I did. But then we sent it to a graphic artist.
Yes, someone that could take your idea and tone it down.
Yeah, so it's if you've seen the logo, it's a blind tag in action. It's somebody getting slapped on the back as they hit the ropes, and it's done very professionally because it was done by a professional, and it's really awesome. So the logo shirt, even though I've already ordered my Join the Mark Order shirt because the Purple Monkey is just classic, and that was drawn by the lovely Rajja.
We needed to create that one first for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah.
Purple Monkey would have got very upset.
Yes, purple, and you don't want to make the possessed monkey upset whatsoever. But listen, the second shirt is, of course, our logo shirt, but the cool thing about it has the logo on the front, it's got the information, but on the back shoulder, it's got the handprint.
Yes.
It's got the blind tag.
Your very own blind tag.
Your very own blind tag happening. So people will be like, hey, what's that hand on the back of your shirt? Well, actually, pal, that's this blind tag. Do you know what it is? Are you cool like me? Do you know what a blind tag is? You probably don't. That's okay.
Let me clue you in and send you all these links.
Do you even tag, bro? Because we do. We don't tag.
I don't know if you even tag because I'd never see it.
That's right.
Because it's a blind tag.
How cool would it be for a tag team that only did blind tags?
Other teams are like, do you even tag, bro?
I mean, the ref just kind of gives up, and that's some good stuff.
Sure, you're legal.
Listen, go join our socials. Seriously, I am looking at you right now. Join our damn socials. Steal your neighbor's computer and join from there too. If you don't like us, mute it afterwards. I don't give a shit. Just go join it. We need your love. We need you on there. We want to build a community. Can't build a community if we don't have you.
Love us.
We're talking to you.
Give us attention.
We need the attention. And we want to give you attention back.
It's how we feed Purple Monkey.
Yeah, and you don't want the damn... Let me tell you. The son of a bitch is possessed. And he doesn't eat bananas, all right? So you got to help us out with it. So in our never-ending search for figures... I've got a nice figure, and so does Rajja. I'm not talking about that kind of figure. I mean, wrestling figures, if you will. We've been looking for some chase figures from AEW. And,
I'm mad about the chase figures.
Yeah, everybody, like, in the groups, they pop up these things, And you know what? I'm going to share the podcast in the group, in the figure group, just so you can hear me talking shit about you right now.
Hi, guys. You suck.
Yeah, posting like,
oh, I found my 16th MJF, 1 of 500.
And it's like, really? We didn't.
They stocked all 500 in my city.
Yeah. So, look. I got to get these chase figures. The one I really, really, really want is the Chris Jericho one from Series 1 with the Inner Circle shirt on.
Yes.
I really love that one, and I have to have that one. As much as I love Cody Rhodes, I don't really give two shakes of a dog's dick about the one in the Star Trek outfit.
Not a big fan.
If it is a Star Wars thing, like if he's wearing a Sith outfit... I would worship that thing.
With a lightsaber.
I would have a shrine. I have a shrine to the Rhodes family, and that sounds kind of funny and weird, but I do, and I've got like every member of the Rhodes family.
But would you put it in your wrestling shrine or your Star Wars shrine?
Star Wars.
Okay.
No, it definitely goes in Star Wars. If you even remotely sniff something Star Wars, that's where you go. So
go in the Star Wars shrine.
Yeah, the Star Wars shrine. Yes, I have multiple shrines.
We have a few shrines around the house.
Yeah, some we can't talk about. Maybe we'll talk about them on a Patreon. A Patreon.
Patreon.
It's a Patreon. We went to the Walmart and then got on the Twitter.
Oh, jeez.
And the Facebook. Yeah, but listen, we've got all Series 1, all Series 2, all Series 3, Series 4 pre-ordered.
Uh-huh.
I recently acquired my Lawler figure, which is there's a new Lawler, a new Dusty, and a new Michael P.S. Hayes, baby. I got all those, so good stuff's going on in the figure world. I'm glad that everybody's into this because they're making some badass figures.
Yep, you just got to stay on top of it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Or else like 16 minutes pass and you're like, I missed out.
Legit Series 4 of the AEW figures by Jazzwares. They put them up on Ringside Collectibles, and they were sold out in like 5 minutes.
It was ridiculous.
5 minutes, man. I had no time whatsoever to get on there. And like an hour later, they're like series. They were like 4 into the delays.
The pre-orders.
Yeah,
it's like series wave 4.
Yeah, wave 4 of the pre-orders. You'll get them sometime in 2023.
We'll get them to you eventually.
Yeah, something like that. Hey, I'm also excited. This is not wrestling, but it's kind of wrestling because the guy's first promo I ever did talked about him loving WWE. Going to watch the UFC.
Yes.
Time of this recording, it's about time for UFC to come on. It's this weekend. We're recording this, like right now. So
we're recording it right now while you're listening.
While you're listening, it's the weirdest damn thing. It's timey-wimey. Oh no. You owe me a whole 8-ball on that. Oh my god.
I thought this thing was owe you a Coke.
Oh. Like a Coke.
Yes, a Coke.
Not
like
some Coke. Well, you owe me one of those.
Sorry, we're all nerds in this house.
Yes, and if you don't know, you don't know. If you do know, then good on you for that. Conor McGregor is going to be facing Dustin Poirier again. And if you remember correctly, Conor smoked him the first time. Like, rolled him like a joint and smoked him. Now, that was years ago. And since then, Dustin's been drinking milk. And Dustin has smoked quite a few a mofo since then.
Drinking his Pedialyte.
So Conor went on the boxing shenanigans. He went up to the let me fight above my weight class shenanigans. Finally gets on the let me knock Cowboy out with my shoulder in the last fight. Everybody remember that? I remember that.
Let me get back to being Conor McGregor.
He knocked him out with his shoulder.
Yes, I remember.
He just goes bloop.
Yes, it was ridiculous.
Cowboy was so emasculated in that.
Oh, poor Cowboy.
Yeah, he wears a pink hat now and rides
a
Shetland pony.
I like seeing his son. He's cute.
Yeah, the son is the head of the house now. It's a very weird. It was that
bad?
Yeah, it was that bad. It's a very weird, strange thing that happened when you get knocked out with a freaking shoulder.
Yes, okay.
It's about
noted.
It's about as bad as he did the Josie Aldo when he flash knocked him out like a video game.
Jeez.
So listen, I love Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor can do no wrong to me, and I am going to pay the $100 and watch that 3-second fight. Either way, I don't even care if he loses.
We're going to watch it anyway.
Going to watch it, because if he loses, he's still going to pee on him or something. It's going to be...
He's still going to act like Conor McGregor.
There'll be something good. Listen, I was watching live on Fuel TV in 2014 when Conor had his debut fight on UFC, and he had like 2 Fuel TV fights. He was like 3 fight nights, and then he was on to bigger, better like main events.
Well, he's a spectacle.
Oh yeah, never looked back. I remember that first time he did the Irish boxing stance. And
I love that.
And I completely fell in love.
Yeah.
And the first time I'm watching this cat, the way he was moving, he had this movement that was just different than other people. And his accuracy on his punches.
Yeah, scary.
It was just like no matter where it was coming from, it would hit the chin. And I was going nuts. I remember this like it was yesterday. And at the time, Rajja used to, she had this recliner.
My recliner.
And it was the heat chair. Because for some reason, she was a sassy bitch when she had that recliner. It was like her throne.
Well, different times.
Yeah, no. I remember that time period because we never missed. We were as bad on UFC as we are on wrestling. We never missed a UFC.
We watched it. We had a favorite fighters list.
Oh, yeah. Like a fighters to watch. We watched everything. You don't understand when I say everything.
Oh, God.
I mean everything. If there was UFC will be live on Facebook from 3 a.m. to 3:15, we watched it.
Yeah.
And everything. We watched this.
We were obsessed.
We watched it live from Hong Dong Chicka at 2 in the morning or whatever, just like we do the Puro Reso.
Right.
So we're just sick about this stuff and we love it. And it's been a while. We gave UFC a break.
Yeah.
We really did because just a lot of bad decisions. Listen, man. If you're gonna be predetermined, be upfront about it. Don't feed me this judge's BS.
Goodness.
I got tired of that.
Yeah, I did get a little stale there for a while.
Oh yeah, it got boring. To be honest with you, to me.
Yeah, we just started looking at our phones through the whole card.
Yeah, I just really got bored. I want my fights to be, I don't know, action-packed.
You want to get up and yell at the TV and
a
lot of expletives.
But what I don't want, Rajja, you know what I don't want?
What?
I don't want 50-50 booking.
Oh, dear God. Here we go.
Now, I have to talk about this. In the latest issue of Wrestling Observer, or as I like to call it, the Weekly Bible. Thank you, Uncle Dave.
Amen.
Even though it literally takes a chunk of your life to read it.
Yeah.
But in the latest Observer, he had some interesting stuff in there. One of the most interesting, if not the most interesting thing to us, is we laughed our asses off.
We spent too much time on that section.
Was the win-loss records in WWE for 2020.
Oh, goodness.
Not that this kind of thing matters in WWE, not that they ever make reference to it. If they did, they forget what they did the week before. But you always hear people bitching about 50-50 booking. And basically 50-50 booking, for those of you who don't know, is, got to get that win back, brother. Got to get that heat back. You lay down for me this week, I lay down for you next week.
Basically, if you win a match, then you're going to lose a match to make up for it.
Even Steven.
Yes.
That's basically it. It's even Steven. Oh my God. There are so many records that are anything from 8-8 to 20-20.
Oh, Jesus. AJ Styles.
AJ Styles was 20-20, wasn't he?
Yes.
20-20. Okay?
Oh, man.
And then you have FTR, who didn't win a single match all year.
Yeah, poor guys.
Then their first match, they win the titles, right?
Yeah, in AEW.
In AEW. Just some crazy shenanigans, man. I mean,
I will say it wasn't as prevalent for the NXT superstars. It was mostly main roster that was bad.
Oh, it was all main roster. Yeah. The NXT stuff made sense. It was like 8-1 or...
Yeah, there were some undefeated.
Yeah.
It was all good. Yeah. But then you get up to main roster and it's like 13 wins, 12 losses.
Oh, yeah.
1 draw.
A nice segue. Speaking of NXT, well, they had a couple of signees that made some news because we were going to talk about the GCW event.
Yes.
And it's a 24-hour live event. It's Rumble weekend. So we're actually going to watch the Royal Rumble. You'll get a full review of Royal Rumble because it's just one of those that I enjoy watching. I don't care what's really going on at the time, even though SmackDown, from what I understand, has been fantastic lately. Raw has been, well, as Dave put it in The Observer, I noticed a line there, as good as SmackDown was, Raw was bad.
Oh, God. That's terrible.
So the SmackDowns have been stupendous, and I have those all on the DVR. I'm going to try to go through some of them just to hit the high points.
Just to get prepared.
If it's really that good, I don't mind watching it.
Yeah, if it's good, then we want to see it.
It's not that I hate them. I just get really sick of them at times.
Yes.
Like the 50-50 booking. But NXT had some signees that made some news for the Dusty Classic on the female side. Mm-hmm. And one of those that had to pull out of her match with Joey Janela, which they were doing a work shoot thing all week. And I kept telling people, it's work. It's work.
Yeah.
It's work. No, I don't think it's work. And then they announced the match and I was like, told you it was work. And then, of course, they're loving on each other because she got signed.
Right.
So Elena Black, who I've been high on, but not because of her skill.
It's the gimmick.
Yeah, it's the gimmick. It's the tarot card. Like, basically, she's Rajja. And she comes out with the tarot cards, and she comes out with, because that's not a gimmick for Rajja. That's her real deal. Yo.
I wonder if she actually reads.
I don't know.
I have a tarot card collection. If anyone wants to know, I'm like obsessed with tarot.
Yeah. So. How many decks do you have now?
I have at least 7 tarot decks and over 10 oracle decks now.
What's the difference in a tarot deck and an oracle deck for the novice out here?
Tarot decks are your standard 78 cards, major arcana, minor arcana. They all have the same meanings, essentially. Some people interpret it a little different, but it all comes off the same standard deck. Oracle decks can be anything you want them to be. Like, there's oracle decks that the cards are just a word. There's some that where it's all animals, and you can put any meaning and art and whatever you want on them. So the more oracle decks you have, the more variety you have. And
right.
I feel that they add flavor to a tarot reading. They can give details that tarot can't give. So tarot gives you like the overall picture, and then oracle cards give you the more detailed parts of the reading. So it's like one big picture.
On a Patreon special, could we theoretically like do a tarot reading on certain wrestlers?
I suppose we could. It's not totally ethical to read for someone without asking permission.
Well, that's why it's on Patreon. I mean, it's totally unethical. Like, we could call it the totally unethical episode.
We can do tarot readings. I don't care.
Nah, well, it's just a thought. I don't want to have you go against your grain there. I mean, I know you have the whole side thing going there with we'll delve into that later on. Anybody interested in a tarot reading? Let us know. No, but she has the gimmick. She has a little coffin. Mm-hmm. I'm just a sucker for a goth.
Yeah,
I just am, and it doesn't matter how many times I see it. I'm like, oh, I love that gimmick. And then, speaking of that, somebody with my favorite female wrestler on the planet. It just kills me. It bothers me so bad. I really wanted Priscilla Kelly in AEW. I really did. Just because of the implications. I know she had some dark matches and all this stuff. And I know the Darby thing is one of the big reasons. They wanted to hook her up with Darby, but at the time, her husband, and have her be, and she didn't want to be the afterthought or the wife. And I get that. I do. But man, that would have been some really good matches.
Maybe she'll be really, really good in NXT.
I'm sure she will. But yeah, well, they're in the Dusty Classic, so I'm definitely going to check that out to see. It actually aired already, so I'm going to have to go back and check that out because their match aired Friday night. Also, speaking of signees, there was a little rumor I read where a guy that I've actually had a little altercations with, and my guys has faced his guys, and well, we faced them when they were the Workhorsemen. But Anthony Henry.
Oh, yeah. I did see that in there.
Legit my pick for future superstar for, ever since I've seen him the first time. And Mr. Awkward here, like one of the only dudes I've ever walked up to in the locker room and been like, hey, man, I freaking love your work. I don't do that. But yeah. Anthony Henry, I do.
We even mentioned Anthony Henry in our first episode because we love him that much.
Yeah, and he had his farewell Workhorseman match last week with PWX. They had a big event. It was an emotional moment. I watched the footage from it. It was a pretty cool thing. And Drake and him had the big huggy and all this stuff. And I thought, man, is that it? Is that it? Is he walking away from the business? And then rumor mill has Anthony Henry in NXT. So we'll see what that is, because that could be very exciting. It really could.
I mean, if he's still wrestling, it's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
If he's not just leaving the business entirely, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting into some of the reviews, Impact had some big shows this past week.
We had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, Impact had some big shows. Not going to spend a whole hell of a lot of time on there just because, but I do want to tell you, because of star ratings, and once again talking about Observer, Uncle Dave put his star ratings out there on the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. And one of the biggest noteworthy things from the Hard to Kill pay-per-view was the fact that during the main event, when Kenny Omega came out with the Good Brothers, they were wearing Bullet Club stuff.
Yes. Just shoving it all in our faces.
Absolutely. The world lost their collective minds. Apparently, word has it there's nothing really behind that other than screwing with people. I don't believe that for a second.
Oh, yes. Nothing to see here.
Those guys are the kings of being like, oh, no, we're just playing around, I mean,
we didn't mean anything by it.
Yeah, I don't believe them. Listen, there's something there, and it's going to be, and when things open up, is what we're looking at here. We already know the Good Brothers are part of their contract is working in New Japan. That was part of their agreement.
Because they're signed with Impact, and Impact has a deal with New Japan.
Well, yeah, so. I mean, they've already agreed. Part of this is going to be we're opened up to work. That's in their contract.
Oh, I'm so ready.
I see it happening. Some kind of Bullet Club versus Bullet Club, or all united or something. I don't know. But we'll see. But anyway, Nashville at Skyway Studios is where they had their big Hard to Kill pay-per-view. Brian Myers pinned Josh Alexander in 10 minutes 55 seconds with a 2 3/4 star match.
Crazy Steve and Rosemary beat Caleb with a K and Tennille Dashwood in 8:53 with a 1.5 star rating. Yeah,
and funny thing is, Crazy Steve and Caleb are like two guys that I've been on regular shows with, so it's always weird to see that. Tennille, I'm glad to see in a 1.5 star match. That sucks, man. She's so good.
She is. We always liked her in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I mean, she was so good in Ring of Honor. She should have never left, honestly. I thought that was her best work so far. Eric Young and Cody Deaner and Joe Doring beat Rhino and Tommy Dreamer and Cousin Jake
in 9 minutes and 51 seconds that we'll never get back. And it's a 1.5 stars.
I know you love all those people.
Oh, it just makes me giddy.
Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz beat Havoc and Nevaeh to win the tournament for the Revived Knockouts title in 8 minutes and 41 seconds in a 1 1/4 star match.
So we're not getting it's not getting a whole lot of stars here.
Not something that's surprising from Impact, but they're starting to go in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean...
They're bringing it back.
It seems like, some of the stuff is getting there, but especially I have to give them kudos on one thing. They got the new announcers.
Oh, yeah.
So Josh Matthews is out, Matt Stryker's in. I'm a big Matt Stryker guy.
Okay.
I think Matt Stryker is fan-fucking-tastic on the mic. And
well, brownie points to them.
Yeah, they got D'Lo Brown too, so you can't go wrong with those two. And I'm very excited about Matt Stryker and hearing his voice again. So I love Matt Stryker. So then they had a little segment here, a little surprisey-wisey with Ace Austin and Madman Fulton came out. Austin told Scott D'Amore to put him in the X Division title match. D'Amore came out and said he would give him a match, but it won't be for the title. Said he has a special opponent for him, and boom, boom.
Surprise, surprise.
Figure time, because Matt Cardona came out and beat Ace Austin via DQ in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. No star rating.
Well, that's because it's a DQ.
Yeah.
And a very short match.
Right.
Then we had Manik retaining the X title over Chris Bay and Rohit Raju, I hope I'm saying that right, in 13 minutes and 53 seconds with 3.5 stars. Not too shabby.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to have TJP in a match where I can't see him having a 1-star match. So Deonna Purrazzo beat Talia Valkyrie to retain the Knockouts title in 11 minutes and 35 seconds. I've seen a lot of people putting this over. It's 2.25 stars. I didn't. I mean, I watched it, and I'm not one of those that put it over. But anyway.
Eddie Edwards beat Sami Callihan in a barbed wire match in 18 minutes and 48 seconds for 3 3/4 stars.
And this had everything you would expect it to have, like all the gimmicks, all the blizzard, and all that good stuff. And it's kind of like the Tommy Rich Buzz Sawyer thing to me by now, like ended already.
I know you love this angle.
Yeah, it's so done. It was done at the first when Callahan was on Jericho's podcast talking about, how mean he is in his skinny jeans. So
let's move on.
Yeah.
Our main event of the night.
It is our main event.
Kenny Omega, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, Bullet Club.
Too sweet.
Beat Rich Swann, Moose, and Chris Sabin in 20 minutes and 24 seconds for a glowing 4 1/4 stars.
Yeah, that's right. A 4 1/4 star match.
On Impact?
On an Impact pay-per-view. That's freaking fantastic. So much action. It was basically the Omega Swan show. And, there's a lot of great stuff happened there. Moose did great as a fill-in. Because that's not what it was originally signed as. Alex Shelley was supposed to be in the match. Nobody knows why Alex Shelley wasn't. He just
mysterious.
said, personal reasons or whatever. He said it was not COVID. I think everybody starts out with that.
They're like, not COVID.
Not COVID. Just not going to be there.
Disclaimer, not COVID.
So, I don't know. Big thing was the following Tuesday, they had their Tuesday night show there, and a little surprisey-wisey on that, too.
Yeah. A little bit of TK.
Yeah.
Coming on in.
A little bit of Tony Khan in character, and I like it. I love it. I don't care. People can be angry or upset, and some people may love it or whatever. I was a big fan when McMahon was a character. I was a big fan when Eric Bischoff was a character. It doesn't bother me a bit.
Get involved with your company.
And Tony Khan is doing the coolest thing ever. He's coming out exactly like people portray him on the internet. So when all these little butt wipes get on there and they're like, well, you need money trying to be a career media. That's what he's acting like. And I love it. And they Jerry Lynn was with him, and Jerry Lynn was kind of like playing Pat Patterson's role there, or Briscoe actually. He was the stooge for Tony Khan, and
they interfered.
Yeah,
they got involved.
Hardy Party made their debut there, and of course Private Party's now the #1 contenders for the Impact Tag Team Championships.
Dun dun dun.
Which means they will probably win the Impact Tag Team Championships because they.
You think?
Oh yeah, they went full heel on Dynamite. We're going to be getting to that soon, but they're fully embraced the dark side now. Which you know what? that made it more interesting to me.
Yeah, it gives them some character, and the whole Matt Hardy being Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
Taking all their money, making them into bad guys.
Matt Hardy as Matt Hardy.
We're not going to get into that.
No, we're not. That's probably going to be on a Patreon too.
We'll just tell the story. It'll be like an hour
Yeah, no,
long.
gracious guy, always gracious with his time and with the fans and everything, and good stuff, man. I mean, I'm glad seeing him having a good angle and Private Party having something good to work with, and
a figure coming out.
Woo. That I paid for.
You had to have it. It was part of the series.
Yeah, no, I like I said,
you can't just leave one out.
No, I said it's a good thing.
Yes,
it's a really good thing. But yeah, big surprise there, and that got us to Dark actually, which
Tuesday
is
night as well,
which is our favorite show. Oddly enough, just because we like enhancement talent.
We had a long card this week, 14 matches.
Yeah, 14 matches, and it was very exciting. Man, Dark just has so much. It has guys that are coming in from all these places, get basically tryout after tryout, you know, and plus Taz and Excalibur make it worth the price of admission. This week, during Pretty Peter coming in, I got to start with this.
We managed to catch it, thankfully.
Yeah, so we're always listening for the under the breath commentary stuff. It's just funny as hell.
It's the best part.
And they were talking about musical instruments that Taz may have played, and Taz goes, "Yeah, you ever play the skin flute?" And it gets really quiet, and you hear Excalibur laughing and going, "Jesus Christ!" And Taz's like, "It's okay. They'll have to edit that out." Well, guess what?
They didn't edit it out.
They didn't edit it out. I guess it got noticed finally. They took it down. So they already had their 200,000 views or whatever. They had to put it back up. As of airtime, it only has like 60, 70,000 views. But that's misleading because they deleted the damn video.
Well, I'm sure when Skin Flute started trending on Twitter, they were like, oh, crap.
Yeah. Anytime the Skin Flute comes out, it's not a bad thing in my opinion. I thought it was cute. But AEW Dark, January 19th, 2021. We had a hell of a opener because Brandon Cutler's been on his big, win streak. Mm-hmm. I believe it was 8 matches that he was on, but Luchasaurus came out, and it was the traditional Luchasaurus music there, instead of what we've been hearing, Jungle Boy's music that Tony had paid for. But Luchasaurus defeated Brandon Cutler, and my God, did Brandon Cutler break his freaking neck?
Oh God, poor guy.
I've seen nothing mentioned about it. He's obviously alive, but I swear to you, they cut that. There was a hard cut, hard
Dropped
edit,
him right on his neck.
I mean,
Top of his head.
High angle. Hit it, and I don't know how he didn't break his damn neck. I really don't.
The dinosaur defeats the dragon.
Yeah, good match. it was a good match.
Poor Brandon.
Brandon, I like his kicks better than anything. I really do. I just had to put that over.
So next we had Sammy Guevara against El Australiano.
Yeah, or Australian Suicide. Isn't that what he's known in AAA?
Yes, in AAA he's Australian Suicide.
Yeah, so Sammy and Australian Suicide had a bunch of matches in AAA, and basically it was one of those, hey, I'm going to get my friend a job matches.
But I'm still going to beat him.
Yeah, Sammy had a very competitive match with him, and then Sammy, gave a big promo, and this week on Sammy's vlog, there was some other fun stuff going on.
Oh, man.
Because T-Bar...
Some people don't know when to keep their mouth or their Twitter shut.
Donovan Dijak, as we know him from the Northeast Wrestling, whatever he is up there, his real name, Donovan D. Vijayagok.
Bane.
Whatever, yeah, in his Bane mask. Man, they really owned his soul on, listen, there's a move that's been done by many people. A little go to sleep action, right? Anyway, Sammy was doing the move, and T-Bar tweets, hey, Panda Boy did my move, and that's my finish. And then the whole wrestling world attacked T-Bar at once. On Twitter, on wrestling Twitter, folks. It's its own world.
Listen, number one, I don't know how you think you can get away with saying anything bad about AEW talent, especially someone like Sammy Guevara, and not get attacked on Twitter. And two, in this day and age, to claim a wrestling move as your own, unless you totally and completely came up with it yourself and nobody else has ever done it before in the entire world.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's
seriously.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
he was just asking for it.
Somebody stole my pile driver. But yeah, Sammy did his comeback in the best way possible on his blog, and came in wearing, a mask, and it's like, hey, who am I? Who am I? And they were like, a jobber. And they went through a few things, and finally he was like, I'm Bane.
So take that.
Yeah. And just, it was funny stuff. If you don't watch Sammy's vlog, you got to watch it. I mean, BTE's great. We've been watching Sammy's vlog since, way before. Dude, nobody knew who Sammy was. Seriously, I hate
He's just so charismatic.
I hate to be that guy, but we seriously were watching it right off the bat and loved the shit out of that guy. He's
and of
great.
course, you get to see Fuego on there.
Yes. They've got, he's really developed it into his own little BTE there. But
He has.
Well, Scorpio Sky went against Nick Comoroto, and it looked like Scorpio Sky had to really take care of a lot of stuff in this match. This was another one of those deals where it didn't seem like Nick was ready for prime time. I don't care where he's been or what he's done or where he's trained or whatever. He didn't look too sharp, and Scorpio's, he took him to the house.
Well,
So,
they let us know numerous times that he's trained by QT Marshall, so it's fine.
yeah, it's all good.
Okay, next we had Shanna, and she defeated Marty Daniels.
Yep, that was a match.
That happened. It happened.
It did happen. We can attest that it happened. The Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny defeated Mike Verna and Baron Black, which was
Man of Steel.
It's actually a decent little match because they got to beat up the Man of Steel a little bit after he did a chop and he got chopped back later on.
Oh, man.
You got to watch for these little things.
That was a fun match. Next we have the Gun Club, and they defeated Adam Priest, Ryzen, and Very Morales.
He is Very Morales.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is. And that also was a match. Then we had Santana Ortiz defeated Danny Limelight and John Cruz. And listen, Danny Limelight, very high on him. I think everybody is. But Danny Limelight kicked some ass, and I enjoyed this. Santana Ortiz owned it.
I'll say, though, when Santana and Ortiz came out, Santana looked like he was in the mood to murder someone.
And he has looked like that several times before.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but...
Like, that's what made me fall in love with Santana when I first saw him wrestle, in Beyond, was him coming out like he was going to kill somebody.
Yeah. It was great, though. Next, we had Private Party defeating Aaron Solo and Lee Johnson, who have become a nice little tag team recently.
Yeah, little shouty Lee action. Big Swole away all over Alex Gracia.
And then Sonny Kiss defeated Zach Clayton.
Yeah, and that was another kind of awkward match.
A little bit.
A little bit of awkwardness in that. Top Flight beat AJ Kirsch and KZ Navarro. Love Top Flight. I could watch Top Flight in every single show. They need to just be featured.
And then we had our number one women's tag team, Ivelisse and Diamante, defeating Catalina Perez and Tesha Price.
You never know when they're going to see some shooting going on with them, so...
Always fun to watch.
Always fun to watch. The Acclaimed defeated Fuego del Sol and Captain Sean Dean, and always fun to watch The Acclaimed. It is. And
I'm just waiting to see the Tornado DDT.
Yeah, well, I hope you do see it at some point, or never see it. That would be a lot better.
Oh.
And then our main event.
Our main event, speaking of shooting, the Lucha Bros defeated the Chaos Project.
Which the Chaos Project just brings chaos to my soul.
But you got to see the Lucha Brothers.
Yes, Lucha Brothers just makes me happy. So,
especially on Dark.
Oh my God, I love Lucha Bros, man. I like Lucha Bros when it's against two legit enhancement talents, and you get to see a little bit of just Chop City, baby. Chops are on the menu, so it's good stuff. But that gets us to Dynamite from January 20th, 2021. It's palindrome time. Did you see I posted that the other day?
I did.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
All those days in a row of not lobs. It's very cool. So on Dynamite, let me just say, I'm going to say this beforehand. Sometimes, actually Downtown Bruno said it best on his old Memphis promos in the 80s. Mama says it bees that way some days. And I knew going into this Dynamite that this wasn't going to be my favorite Dynamite ever. That sometimes you have a roster full of talent and just busting or bursting even at the seams with so much talent that you could just have dream card after dream card after dream card. But then you have the wonderful Tony Khan, who has decided not to terminate anybody during a pandemic. Well, the pandemic goes on and on and on.
Never ends.
And on. And because of that, I think sometimes we get certain people, and I'm not going to be mean and say names, and I'm not even going to say if they're on this episode or not, but what this episode did miss for me And maybe I've gotten spoiled, right? Mm-hmm. Because we've had 5-star after 5-star after 5-star event. Dynamite has been just off the charts, amazing. And, sometimes you got to have filler episodes. Every favorite television show I've ever had has filler episodes. The Man of freaking Lorien had the spider episode.
Would you say this is like the popcorn card?
I would think some things surprised me, and, they did. Some of the things surprised me. Some of the matches,
They got a little bit of story in there. They got some good stuff. It wasn't the strongest card, but...
When Hangman doesn't hit the kip up, for the first time I've ever seen him miss the kip up, I would have dropped the whole Dark Order thing right then. I would have got on the stick and said, sorry guys, I missed the kip up. I've never done that before. No matter
you just have to stop.
No matter how drunk, no matter what group, no matter what federation, I've never missed that. I got to go home and think.
Well, maybe he was so nervous about the Dark Order thing that his head was not in the right place.
He should at least come out and do that in a promo.
He was just so consumed with this decision he had to make. He could not focus.
Listen, I'm not going to judge a match by a kip up. I'm really not. I judge a match if it's the third week in a row that you've missed a kip up.
Right.
And you might need to stop doing the line salt. So we start out. It's Brody Jr.'s birthday. It's -1's B-Day.
Happy birthday.
And we've given this kid a lot of love, and I love to see it in the community. I love to see all the wrestlers out there giving him the family. Just what a wonderful, heartwarming story it is. And if it doesn't warm your heart, you're a cold, callous, and disturbing person that is putting too much wrestling angle into real life.
And he's so fun to watch. He's so good out there.
Listen, hopefully you get it for what it is. It'll be over soon, okay? And he'll be on with his life. But right now, it's the biggest thing in the world for him.
Yes.
And it's really getting him through a tough time. So I have no problem with it. I really don't. And I think the Dark Order has a lot of big story left. I hope that big story has something to do with the villain Marty Scurll. I will say that every week until it happens.
Are you just going to bring that up every single week?
Well, it's that whole, power of attraction, the law of attraction, right?
You're going to manifest it into
I'm going to
being.
manifest Marty Scurll being the leader of the freaking Dark Order.
All right.
So,
well, in 10 years when Brody Jr. starts wrestling and comes back and is amazing, everyone can eat their words.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I've not really seen the negativity. It's Tony Schiavone that on his podcast just went ballistic out of nowhere, and because he'd seen something negative. So, I was just kind of feeding off the Schiavone there. So anyway, to start it off, we always kick off Dynamite with a barn burner, right?
Oh, yeah.
There has been barns burned all over the South. And
there's no barns left.
No, the barns are quickly dissipating.
Poor Hangman.
Yeah.
Well, nowhere to put the horse.
Oh, well, that's good for everybody else. Alex Reynolds, John Silver, Colt Cabana, and Hangman Page. They defeated TH2 and the Chaos Project. Now, there was a litany of things I love in this match until we get to the Chaos Project. I just don't have anything for him, and I don't care to say that. I don't know, man. I mean, Luther blew up real bad that one match, where he was sucking like every bit of wind in that outdoor stadium. And Serpentico just seems hesitant or something in his offense. You know what I mean? Like it's not quite ready primetime kind of thing. And I don't care where you've been and what you've done. Yeah, the match was decent. It really was. There's a lot to be said for TH2. I think they need to split.
Yes.
Personally, because I think we've seen more and more and more that our boy is really. Listen. It is easy to become an Angelica fan. I would like to say that Rajja and I were on that bus way early.
Oh, yeah. Like, the first time we saw him, we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's just, it was nothing more than the dance.
Oh, the dance is fantastic. It just draws you in.
The funny thing is, if you look up AEW, like on iTunes, and you look up the soundtrack or whatever, there's like 12 versions of their song. There's like 2 versions maybe of other people's songs.
They just keep changing it.
Yeah, it's like...
Great though.
It's got to be Angelico and his house parties.
You think in any of those house parties someone got put through a birthday cake?
Well, I hope if they did, that they actually got put through the birthday cake and didn't have to put their own head into it when they missed it the first time, and then look stupid or not break a table.
Yeah. I thought for sure the table was going.
Yeah, you know how that doesn't happen?
You don't put all your weight
when
on
your bitch ass doesn't go through it.
Yeah, he was a little high there.
Yeah.
Just went on his head and arms.
I hate to be negative, man, but I'm not. I'm realistic.
It's okay, though, because this match ended in the funniest way possible. After the match, when Hangman had to make his decision if he was going to join the Dark Order or not, and John Silver, being John Silver, just made it even better by acting like he was proposing. I'm pretty sure Hangman almost laughed when he dropped to a knee.
I'm pretty sure he almost pops all the time.
He's so bad. But, of course, he said no, and then the whole he said yes message popped up, and dancers came out, and they're shooing him away.
Dude, the dancers got me.
Oh, God, we were cracking up.
The pantomime horse, when it finally came out, the dancers got me, but then the damn horse, like,
stupid horse.
And Stu Grayson did such a damn good job of shooing him away.
He's like shoving people back in the
tunnels. Because it was like he took off running. I mean, dead on comedy timing.
It was fantastic.
I'll tell you what, man, Evil Uno and Stu, they have impeccable timing.
They really do.
And I was so wrong about them. Like, early on, I don't know, I didn't get it, I guess.
It was a bit of a different gimmick to start.
Yeah, but it's still the same dudes, right? Mm-hmm. So when they have a match, their matches are fantastic, man. I mean, they really do some innovative stuff.
Yeah.
It looks great. And I just think sometimes it's the whole judge a book by its cover thing.
Well, I think they are much better suited for this comedy thing than the dark, serious stuff they were doing to start. Like, they're fantastic comedians. And they seem to enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that comedic timing, they're just fantastic.
I'll tell you, comedic timing is hard. Like, you either have it or you don't, kind of like in ring. I think you either have that stuff or you don't. Mm-hmm. You know, you either have the ability to change in midair and like slow time.
Right.
Which, you know, it's like a magician, right?
Uh-huh.
And everything's going at a different speed.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I agree.
I also noticed that the Dark Order went in the babyface tunnel after the match. Mm-hmm. So are they officially babyfaces now?
Yeah. They had to be, because people were going to cheer him regardless. And Tony Khan's smarter than the average Vince. And he made sure that, you know, hey, people cheer them.
Right.
Hence,
they're babyfaces.
They're babyfaces.
But Hangman left through the heel tunnel. I mean, is that foreshadowing for what's coming next? I don't know where they're going with him.
Where they have to go with him is eventually Hangman has to beat Kenny.
Yeah, I guess so.
And
they have to meet up again and solve all this.
That's the long term, and I think it has to be the matter of respect deal, where Hangman is the only one that can put the Bullet Club back together. I'm sorry, the Elite.
he can get the band back together.
Well, he's the only one that can do it because he's outside right now. They're not even thinking about him. But you're going to have Don Callis using the manipulation, which is beautiful segment. It's beautiful segment, great storytelling. The Bucks, I don't want to jump around, but the Bucks are going to the house to meet Kenny.
Yes, they have a meeting scheduled.
And it's Nakazawa is there at the door being very, very much like that friend that's no longer your friend and was never really your friend. Like, oh, hey, you guys. You know, having Don Callis in there saying that crazy stuff that we've all went through at one time or another, you know, and the painting was classic.
Oh God, that painting
of Don and I would like to have that in my room of Don and Kenny. That
put it on the shrine.
That was so fantastic. But we seen what he was doing. He blacked out the camera, and he probably ran his eye into a door, is what they'll find out, you know.
Yeah, there's no way the Bucks did that.
No, so it is what it is, but it's all building to manipulation of Kenny Omega. I think that Hangman, maybe, and when I say a matter of respect, it's kind of like the old Sabu, Rob Van Dam angle I love so much, where not shake your hand, not shake your hand, not shake your hand, and then after this long battle of match after match after match, eventually they become a tag team kind of thing. It's like, I really can see Hangman coming back and actually defeating Kenny.
Right.
But at the same time, also defeats Don Callis. Also says, well, you might want to see this. You know, and all this stuff.
Well, Hangman was supposed to be the first AEW champion.
Right.
He needs that belt at some point.
Well, I just think it'd be a great way to build it.
Yeah.
And, you know, no more alcohol angle, no more of this. I mean, Hangman could be white meat babyface, galore.
Yeah.
And, if you had the right thing going there, he comes back and he could be the face of the place.
He definitely needs something to pull him out of this rut. The Dark Order obviously was not that something.
I mean, it's there. The story's there. If you want it, the story's there. But then we go to my babyface, the babyface, Cody Rhodes.
Face that runs the place.
The face that runs the place, yes. Defeated Pretty Peter Avalon. Really smart match here. Smart in the sense that you would think squash match. Played up a little injury angle and got a good match out of it, man. I mean, really, it was not something I was expecting. Expected just a squash. Not a bad match, but a squash.
Yeah, just real quick, in and out.
Yeah, and it was competitive. So we move on from that to Mox himself, the big MOX, John Moxley coming in there and defeating Nick Camarado. And Nick really showed some signs of promise. This is a Nightmare student. They showed the gimmick with QT and Dustin out in the crowd cheering on Nick. So I think we'll have a lot more coming with that. So Matt Hardy and Private Party next, or as collectively known as
Hardy Party.
Hardy Party. They put on a little bit of a showcase, and I love this because they defeated Matt Sydal and Top Flight. Don't love Top Flight losing, but their times are coming. They're kids, and they're damn good kids at that. They're really good at being kids. Very talented team, Top Flight, and Private Party did what they needed to do.
You saw a little bit of that dark side.
Yeah, they needed to just embrace the heel, and I loved it when that happened, and they kind of look at each other and give that smile, and
yep, Matt Hardy's starting to rub off on him.
That's what we needed. A little Matt Hardy to rub off on you when nobody's looking. So no charges being pressed. Next, speaking of no charges being pressed, Penelope Ford defeated Layla Hirsch. This match had some really cool mat wrestling, and at other times had some moments that seemed a little bit lost.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, but I do appreciate the effort of the wrestling aspect of it, not just a bunch of high spots and stuff. I mean, listen, this is I think Kenny Omega recently said in an interview that we're taking baby steps in the women's division and growing it, getting there. And I think it's the best women's division out there. Personally, I know that's quite the statement, especially NXT has some amazing stuff, and you've got amazing stuff in WWE. I just really like the fact that you can have some girl from the indies come in that you've never seen before. Mm-hmm. Not a whole lot of hoopla. Right now it's so wide open that you can get right in the mix within a month.
It's not a big deal. You just get in there.
Yeah, show what you got, man.
And they're showing a lot of promise.
Yeah, absolutely. Carrying on to our main event, it was the much talked about and wondered about deal, and the thing was, this was a battle of the inner circle. They were wanting to see which tag team of the three possible tag teams.
There's only one tag team in the inner circle.
Well, yeah, agreed. One proper tag team, right?
Yes.
But of the three tag teams there could be, which one would be the one that we were going with in the inner circle to go after the tag straps?
Yes.
And storyline wise, I absolutely get it. Like, if you were to ask me, okay, we're going for a main event storyline, who needs to be the tag team? Well, obviously, you put Austin and Rock together, right?
Right.
I mean, it's got to be the guys you put together to be able to get that big storyline out of it. And it's not going to, I mean, come on, we know what's going to happen here, right?
Of course.
I think sometimes it's cool if you see where it's going, but how are they going to get there?
Yeah, there's no telling how they're going to end up where they need to be, but I thought it was really funny that MJF and Chris Jericho both tried cheating, and Jake just shut them down.
Yeah.
He was like, no.
What an emerging star, by the way.
I know, he did so good.
I mean, okay, so he's been at the top of the heap in the WWE. Obviously, he's undefeated in MMA, but since he's been at Dynamite, I know they've tried putting him in some big showcases and this and that. And he's really had unfair stack against him because he was the backup surprise on the first episode of Dynamite.
Yeah.
We weren't able to have the Bullet Club reunion with AJ Styles and the Good Brothers and everything. So let's get Jake Hager.
Oh, yeah. Jack Swagger.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy's got talent, and I think he's really coming to his own. And the funny thing is, that clean loss to Wardlow elevated him.
Yeah, I agree.
It gave him character to me. And then not only did he have character from that, he, like as you said, shut crap down through this match And it's got some brilliance in there. I believe him as a badass. I believe him as a good guy, honestly.
Yeah, I could totally see it. And you got to see Sammy Hagar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, freaking the Red Rocker himself, Sammy Hagar, came out to talk about the team of Sammy Hagar, which is just classic. But yeah, the match, obviously, MJF and Chris Jericho versus Santana and Ortiz versus Sammy Hagar. And the way this one ended up, MJF and Chris Jericho, well, they won. What's the fallout from that? Well, I don't know. They were running late on time. So
we have no idea.
Yeah, it abruptly ended. We'll see. It's interesting. I don't know if the Inner Circle's long for this world. What's going to happen? Is MJF going to coerce everyone and Chris Jericho is going to be the baby face out of this? Is it going to be Sammy and MJF working together all along? Which I've also,
Oh, I hadn't considered that.
I've also thought about that. Pro wrestling tropes, right?
Uh-huh.
So the thing that really sticks out is absolutely that can't happen.
Right, is usually the thing that happens.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so just saying, I don't be surprised if that's the deal when it all comes to an end. Overall, is this a 5-star episode of Dynamite? No, not based on their high standards.
Yeah, not based on what we've seen before.
If we're comparing it to Raw, it's 10 stars.
It's absolutely better than that.
But if we're comparing it to the week before, it's 3. And because there was a lot of filler, there was a lot of continuation, there was a lot of unnecessary stuff, honestly. Because
definitely a transitional card to get you from point A to point B.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. But the good thing about that, while we're still on the subject of AEW, we have a tremendously huge AEW Dark coming up, and that's going to be a 17-match AEW Dark. I tell you, man, it looks like a humdinger of an episode, and as we already know, we love Dark. Just love it. It's so
one
much,
of the best.
It's just so much fun. But before their match this Wednesday, Dr. Britt Baker with Rebel Reba, and Shanna will each be in action with Baker facing the debuting Brooke Havoc, while Shanna will square off with Dark regular Kylan King. Cody Rhodes noted on his Twitter that Havoc was his first student at the Nightmare Factory and was Baker's intern at one point.
Ooh, interesting.
The Chuck Taylor as the Butler angle continues with Miro, Taylor, Kip Sabian, and Penelope Ford as they take on Fuego del Sol.
Oh no, poor Fuego.
Oh my God. Miro is undefeated, obviously, in both singles and tag action in his short AEW run thus far. Highly regarded New England prospect. I really think it's Divine. If it's not, then I'll apologize. I know I've seen you wrestle before. We'll make her AEW debut against Ty Conti with Anna Jay. Conti will be looking for 2 wins in a row after unsuccessfully challenging NWA Women's Champion Serena Deeb on Dynamite in a fantastic match.
Oh, so good.
It was so good. Anyway, 26-year-old Divine has primarily been working at one of our favorite promotions, Maine's Limitless Wrestling, Hi Randy, in recent months, and appearance in Shimmer as well. So pretty cool stuff. You want to take us through the other matches?
Of course. We also will get to see Ray Phoenix versus Baron Black.
Hope I hear the whistle.
Red Velvet versus Maddie Rankowski.
So the Red Velvet thing's very interesting because they're obviously building up to her against Jade Cargill. God help her.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't want to face her.
Poor child. Powerhouse Hobbs with Hook versus Jake St. Patrick.
There you go. Hobbs obviously is looking for 5 straight wins, and it's going to be the debut for St. Patrick, so hopefully it's luck on his side.
Then we are going to get to see SCU.
SCU!
Hopefully they don't lose. Versus Terrence and Terrell Hughes.
Yeah, you know what? They need to get the tables. That's Devon's kids.
Get the tables.
And they've been gone for a few weeks, but we have seen them before, so be exciting to see the little Devons.
Once again, we get Santana and Ortiz versus Ryzen and Mike Verna, which means Mike Verna is going to get his butt kicked again.
Yes, and I can't wait. Hopefully he'll try, chopping Santana. This is very interesting. This is our continuation of how pissed off is Santana and Ortiz.
Oh, no.
From this last week's Dynamite that we just covered. It'll be interesting to see how they act in this match. I wouldn't want to be there.
What the fallout is, since we didn't get to see it.
I wouldn't want to be their first match.
The Butcher and the Blade versus Mbadu and Casey Navarro.
The Butcher and the Blade with the bunny.
Oh, sorry, with the bunny.
Just
My
saying.
bad.
Just saying.
But I know you really liked Mbadu last time we saw him.
I love Mbadu. Mbadu would be one of my guys.
Yeah, you totally manage Mbadu.
Yeah, he's totally part of my faction.
Danny Limelight versus Sean Maluda.
Yeah, man, Limelight has been lighting it up. Limelight will be in the limelight, I'm telling you.
Yes, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's a long-termer.
Jurassic Express with Marco Stunt versus Lee Johnson and Aaron Solo, who are still tagging together.
And this is interesting because Jungle Boy is prepping for his Wednesday singles match against Dax Harwood, which I can't wait for.
Oh, I'm so excited.
That match, when they did the size up, they shot the angle on Dynamite last week. My God, Jungle Boy is standing a head taller than everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's a growing boy.
I love seeing him in singles action, too.
Looking like Jungle Man. But, I love the fact that he's got that fire. This is how it's always been termed. But the white meat baby face is just, that's who he is. That's just that young, innocent underdog always coming from the bottom. Can he do this? And this is one of those wonderful segments that pro wrestling was made for, because I love to see the underdog kid trying to fight for everything he's got to prove what he can do, and that's pro wrestling.
We're
folks.
rooting for you.
I'm actually rooting for Harwood to beat the crap out of him, but
Oh, God.
I still want to see
I'm rooting for you.
I still want to see a great match.
Next, we have Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, and Nick Comoroto versus Ryan Nemeth, Very Morales, and Sean Dean.
Captain Sean.
Yeah,
Dean. Comorato's obviously just had the very competitive matches you put over against John, and they made mention in there, of course they don't mention anything by accident, that he was the only one that would accept the fight with John because nobody wanted to face Mox.
Yeah.
And, I think that's a great start to be that guy. So we'll see how featured he is in this, which I would say, being dark, it'll be heavily featured.
Oh, yeah, definitely. After that, we get to see Peter Avalon, Pretty Peter, and Lee Johnson have their walk-off.
Shoddy Lee.
And apparently the judges will be Brandy Rhodes, Jerry Lynn, and Aubrey Edwards.
So tell me, what's a walk-off?
The walk-off is essentially a modeling contest. There's two people, two beautiful outfits. You walk 10 steps forward, pose, turn around, walk 10 steps back, and 3 beautiful judges will decide the winner.
Well, that's entertainment.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see how Lee Johnson performs in the walk-off.
You might be surprised. What if he is like a nighttime performer somewhere? Wouldn't that be funny?
That would be amazing.
I mean, wouldn't that be funny if we didn't know?
I would love that. If he just struts his stuff.
Imagine. Because you never know. Like, I've worked with people before that at night they took a different name, they put on some pretty clothes, and they could strut their stuff.
Went under an assumed name in a Chippendales stage.
Not exactly Chippendales.
Not exactly.
Taking more of a Southern Belle name, but it's still some fun stuff.
When Peter said there'd be 3 beautiful judges, did you expect Jerry Lynn to be in that lineup?
Well, that was the only one I could think of. When you said beautiful.
Of course.
Yeah.
Then we get Preston Vance, number 10, with his compadre,
sidekick.
Alan Angels, and -1.
Oh, -1, another featured.
Yes, he's just going to be there, though, versus Ray Jazz.
Oh, yeah. That's a match.
That is a match. Evilise with Diamante versus Jasmine Allure.
Sounds like a perfume.
And Abaddon versus Vert Vixen.
Well, hopefully she don't bite her. I love the fact they're continuing some angles here. If you don't watch Dark, you're kind of missing out there. Because, I mean, they're definitely furthering some angles, and there's going to be some fun beatdowns.
Yeah, listen, you just heard that. How can you not go and watch that Dark after hearing all that amazing stuff you get to see?
I'm telling you, man, it sounds pretty freaking amazing.
I'm excited.
That goes to our next night, which is going to be this upcoming Dynamite. I'm pretty excited about it. There's a lot going on. Obviously, Sting and the TNT champion Darby Allin will appear on the show, and they're going to talk about their upcoming street fight against Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, Starkman Jones himself. And Sting and Allin agreed to the match last week on Dynamite after being confronted by Team Taz. The match was later announced for AEW's next pay-per-view, Revolution, which is scheduled for February 27th, but that could change, by the way.
Yes,
they've been talking about it going to March, and we'll see what happens. Mox will also appear on the show to talk about his upcoming 6-man tag match at Beach Break against Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, because in Tag Mox, Dynamite.
Yeah, I would want to fight them too.
Yeah, and he will now team with Pac and Rey Fenix, which is freaking awesome.
I'm so excited.
And, you know, that's going to be on February 3rd.
That match, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be fire.
My God. I mean, seriously, that's a hell of a match.
Oh, I'm so ready.
Just a hell of a match. But listen, this Wednesday doesn't mean we don't have any hell of matches. This is going to be a damn great card because you got Young Bucks and the Good Brothers versus Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, Alex Reynolds of Dark Order.
Yes. I am so ready. Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston, finally.
I am glad this one's happening because this one's weird.
It is a little weird.
This one's like, what's caused all this? Like,
where's the heat coming from?
Is Eddie scared of him? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird, man.
I'm not sure Eddie's scared of anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Lance keeps popping in. Like, I could see him using the toilet, and Lance's head comes underneath the stall.
Does it go back to the Battle Royal when Eddie never really lost? I don't know.
I want to see Eddie, honestly, beat the ever-loving shit out of Lance.
You ready to see Eddie win?
I do, and it's not a knock against Lance as much as Eddie needs to win a damn match.
Yeah.
He's put over people. He's done a great job putting them over. He hasn't really gotten weaker from losing.
No, not at all.
But
kind of like seeing him lose sometimes.
But it'd be nice if he got a definitive win.
I agree.
Without
time.
Outside interference.
And who better to win against than the Murder Hawk Monster himself?
Yeah, because, man, he'll be pissed.
Next, we have, as we spoke about, Dax Harwood and Jungle Boy.
What more can be said?
Yeah, we already went down on that one.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was the wrong terminology, but I'm leaving it in there. You guys know what I mean.
Alrighty.
Moving right along, Hangman Page versus Ryan Nemes, who is on Dark the night before in his debut match.
Yeah, and we'll see how it sets up for that. Hopefully, we don't have to go down on that one either with Hangman Page. So.
Oh God, please no. And then we have our new tag team of the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho and MJF, versus the Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr.
I love the Varsity Blondes just because I'm a big fan of Dad. I'm a huge Brian Pillman mark. Absolutely love the Hollywood Blondes, and that's all I can see. I call them the Hollywood Blondes every damn time.
Yes, you do.
I see them. So I love that, and we're finishing it off, thank God, with
Britt Baker versus Shanna.
Yeah, so I get to see Britt Baker beat Shanna's ass.
I can only imagine it's to prepare her for her match with Thunder Rosa.
It is, but Shanna has really been... The last Shanna match was strange, man.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
It was a little shooty, Von shoot.
Like she was mad about something.
No, yeah, at times there was a little bit of shooty shy in there.
A little bit.
And so I'm interested in this. Britt, I could watch Britt wrestle a broom and be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy Britt. I love her character. I love Rebel.
She's just fun to watch no matter what she's doing.
Just good stuff, man. So all in all, I'm really excited about this Dynamite.
Oh, me too.
And this Dark. So it's a damn good week because, man, listen, we're going from this into the damn Royal Rumble, into the GCW 24 hours.
Oh, my God.
Obviously... There's a lot of stuff in the next couple weeks.
Oh, it's jam-packed few weeks of wrestling.
Beach Brawl, I mean...
Oh, man.
Just all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's just really cool. The next 2 weeks is big-time wrestling.
And we are ready.
Switching gears to the land of the rising sun, so to speak, because we're talking New Japan Pro Wrestling or actual wrestling.
The best wrestling.
The best wrestling. So we're actually going to start at the LA Dojo. I feel like that I've had, I don't know, the last few hours of some NJPW star. It's weird.
It is weird. I get that vibe too.
Do you feel that?
Like they were here.
Yeah, like
in our home.
Yeah, it's like a presence of greatness was around. I don't know.
So strange.
It is strange, but it's weird. Well, who knows?
Who knows?
Let me continue on with this. So we're going to start off with LA Dojo stuff. And man, let me tell you, there is some bright spots on this. If you're not watching NJPW Strong on Friday nights, you, my friend, are missing out. Available all the time on NJPW World. You need to watch this show, hosted by the legendary Kevin Kelly himself. This is some good stuff. I wanted to tell you, honestly, last few weeks, this is what's been going down. So the Road to the Lions Break special started out, and that's, of course, the Road to Lions Break contender, started on Friday, January 8th, 2021. And that edition had Clark Connors over Kevin Knight in 7:37 using the infamous Boston Crab. Rocky Romero against the DKC with the Diablo armbar in 8 minutes and 32 seconds. And their main event on that episode, Danny Limelight himself.
Oh, yes.
JR Kratos and Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson. My spirit animal, my love, my let me just tell you, I love me some Chris Dickinson. Okay. He is perennially in my top 5 of all wrestlers. But Danny Limelight got the victory over Logan Regal of the Regal Twins. And they are exciting, awesome. You need to, if you don't know them, you need to know them. You need to watch Strong. And their partner, Brody King. Another one we love.
Yes.
So Rajja has
it's just full of people we love.
Yeah, Rajja has a lot of meet and greets with good old Brody there. So and then we go to the next edition, which debuted on January 15th, of course, Friday night, as always. And Mysterioso beat Barrett Brown in 7:55 with the inverted suplex, another devastating maneuver. Mm-hmm. We had TJP and Adrian Quest, TJP going over on that one, and TJP looking good as always. Doesn't matter if it's Impact, doesn't matter if it's here. TJP is all over it, man. He is next level.
He's a little star.
Glad to have him around. Then we had Hikuleo, El Phantasmo, and Kenta against Blake Christian, ACH, and Fred Rosser. And of course, in this one, Hikuleo, El Phantasmo, and Kenta went over. We'll be talking about Phantasmo here again in a moment. But that gets us up to this past Friday night's edition. And that, of course, was Friday, January 22nd. And man, I'll tell you, I love this opener. Again, the Regal Twins. They went over on Kevin Knight and Jordan Clearwater. And I'm here to tell you, Kevin Knight, LA Dojo student, this guy is going to be special. This guy's going to be something. He's special already, but I'm really over on Kevin Knight. He did lose in this one to the Spike DDT in 6 minutes, 12 seconds. Went on to our second match. Big old Brody King. It was a battle of giants against JR Kratos. They've been building this one up as a slobber knocker, and it was just exactly that.
A regular kaiju movie.
Oh, absolutely. 10 minutes, 9 seconds. A little long for my taste on this one. I think this should have been 5 minutes of just slobber and knocking. Short arm lariat. It got a little, I don't know. This one just wasn't there yet because for me, JR Kratos didn't allow me to see Brody King's best stuff.
Right.
You know, because Brody, one of the beautiful things about him is he is the slobber knocker Brody.
Yes.
But he also can do some amazing high flying stuff.
Yeah, he didn't get to do much of that.
Yeah, so that's where you're like, oh my God, you know, but still a solid match. Then the main event, the no longer your young boy, Ren Narita, scoring a victory I was not expecting against Bateman.
He's all grown up.
Texas Cloverleaf, folks, in 14 minutes and 53 seconds. Excellent, excellent match.
It was so good, and he did so well, and he got the win, and I'm so proud of him.
Yes, it is very, very good. And
he's starting his excursion, and soon maybe he'll find himself and his character, and I'm sure the Japanese fans are excited to get him back when he does.
Yeah, absolutely. And there'll be a character by the time he's done, man. It'll just happen. He's a talented wrestler, so we'll see what happens. Of course, we've been having the Road to New Beginning, and we've got the New Beginning shows that are going on throughout this pandemic, and there's been even worse outbreaks. So they've had to really, really trim these down. They've been having to start at 6 o'clock p.m. local time, be done by 8 p.m.
Yeah, they're really having to follow the rules very strictly, and they're doing great, but it's really putting a hamper on the type of shows they can put on.
Come on, man, you got to get done in 2 hours. It's just, you know, the draw. I mean, people over there, they're normally getting off at 6 o'clock, so they're not making it there until 6:30. It hurts the draw a little bit, but they're still doing it because they will persevere, and we'll get through this together. But we go off, and you know what? It's these Road 2 shows are a mix of, you know, a lot of tag matches building up for where we're going with the main cards of the New Beginning. So all the Road 2s are on the network. You need to check them out. They're really cool. But as far as the results, I am going directly to Road to New Beginning in Tokyo at the One City General Gymnasium on Saturday, January 23rd. The first match had Dookie and Suzuki, because I gotta say, Dookie Suzuki against Jado and Gato. Dookie got the pin over Gato in 9 minutes, 27 seconds. Second match, we had Yoshihashi, Tomohiro Ishii, and Okada. What a team. Against Dick Togo. That's how I always say it.
Just can't help yourself.
Yujiro Takahashi and Evil of Bullet Club. And Okada won with the money clip in 9 minutes, 58 seconds.
Of course he did.
In the third match, we had something pretty cool. This was Tenzon's comeback. So this is pretty cool. It was Kojima and Tenzon losing to the Great O'Khan and Will Ospreay, who needed to win, damn it. But this was by DQ, which is odd for New Japan.
It is a little bit.
Yeah, very, very odd. But O'Khan and Will Ospreay need to win no matter what, because, I don't think they should lose again this year. We had an elimination match, which is one of Raj's favorites.
Yes, I love the elimination matches.
And this one was one that you got to watch, folks. This one took 24 minutes, 22 seconds, and holy poo. This was something. It came down to the team of Hanma, Master Wato, Sho, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kota Ibushi versus, Bushi, Hiromu, Naito, Shingo, Sonata, LIJ, and honestly, Hanma got the pin over Naito there. So, crazy match, cool match, same thing. So, good stuff. And then the main event, folks. We had an IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. And this was the champions, Kanemaru and El Desperado. In their third defense, they lost to El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori. To be clear, El Phantasmo used his new super kick to knock out Kanemaru.
That amazing super kick.
Yeah,
that we have no idea how it's so crazy.
Yeah, and of course it has nothing whatsoever to do with a loaded boot, right?
No, couldn't possibly.
Yeah, some really good stuff. I mean, there's so much there to watch, and we got some big ones coming up, obviously. Like I said, every week you can watch Road to Lions Break on NJPW Strong, and we got more Road 2's shows that are going on right now as we speak, and we got the New Beginning in Nagoya on Saturday, January 30th. That one looks like a hell of a card. There's some actual really good matches toward the top of this one. You're going to have the special single match. This is just interesting. Tenzon versus Great O'Khan. Just a strange little...
It's become a grudge match now.
Strange little match there. You're going to have a special singles match, Kojima versus Will Ospreay. So it's splitting up that tag that we just talked about.
Right, yeah.
And the main event will be for the Never Openweight Championship. I cannot wait for this match.
So excited.
The champion, Shingo Takagi, in his second defense against Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi doing something out of his normal range of matches.
They're going to beat the crap out of each other.
Indeed.
I'm so here for it.
And with all the Road 2s and everything coming up, I will say, we'll talk way more about this in future episodes. But February 10th, you're going to have the main events of the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Titles when the champions, Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga, in their first defense against Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi. I can't wait.
Rematch.
That one's going to be something. But we're going to have a hell of a main event. Dude, this one's big. IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, Raj's own Hiromu Takahashi in his first defense against Sho.
That match is going to be insanity.
Yeah, insanity.
I'm worried for their health and safety.
I'm worried for your health and safety.
Pray for me.
On the very next night, and like I said, we'll talk about all this coming up, but it's worth mentioning that you'll have the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Double Championship match with Kota Ibushi defending in his second defense against Sonata.
Hopefully he keeps the belts.
No, he will. He's going to take Sonata out. And before we get to our main event of the evening, I do want to talk about here a little popcorn match action. I just got to tell you a little tidbit, if you will. Dark Side of the Ring is returning, and of course there's all kinds of talk about this. Keeping some of it a little bit secret, but man, I'm really excited about this because if anybody's seen any of the other seasons of Dark Side of the Ring, you see it's done really well. I like it. It's really good.
It's informative.
I mean, it is. It's a really well done show. This season is, well, we like to say straight fire around here, and that's what this one is. It's going to have the Brian Pillman episode, which is going to be tough. That one's going to be tough. I'm going to have a tough time watching that one. I'm really a fan of Brian. There's so much to say about that career. So much where I feel like he was kept down, especially when he was Flair's protege. Outside the ring, Flair loved Brian Pillman, and when Flair went to WWF, kind of left him in Samoa Lurch, I mean, you could say that, but look what happened. He was in the Hollywood Blondes, but then he had that accident. I'm sure it'll cover all this. That's where the painkillers come in. He was so brilliant. He was just a brilliant wrestler.
Hopefully they do him justice.
I'm really hoping they do. We're also going to have XPW, which if nobody remembers that's when the porn stars owned that ECW knockoff in LA. And I can't say it any better than that, other than if you remember New Jack nearly killing somebody off a scaffold, that's XPW, folks. There's going to be an episode on Chris Kanyon. Now, Chris Kanyon is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers that ever laced up a pair of boots. Better known, he's better known as Kanyon, but for me, he was best known as Mortis. And, Wrath and Mortis was just a damn team that I've loved. Mortis, when he was Mortis, was so innovative. He had the most innovative offense. He's a, big, tall, strong, strapping, all that good stuff. And then, later on he come out as gay, which was not done very much at the time, even when he did it. And then he had some complications and we lost him in 2010. And, it's one of those things that Chris Kanyon was special. He was just special. I can't wait to see this.
I can't wait to see it either.
I know a lot of people feel the same way. I love Kanyon. So, I've already got two of my favorite all-time wrestlers in this with XPW. I know they're going to talk about the ECW of Japan, if you will, FMW. Some amazing stuff from FMW. I can't wait to see what they tell in the story of this one because it's some cool stuff. They're also going to cover something that I was just talking to Rajja about the other day, and that was the New Japan WCW joint show in North Korea in 1995. What a scary show that one is.
Oh, yeah. You were telling me all about that.
Can't wait to see what they show on there and what they don't show. But, yeah, it's a crazy show. If you don't know anything about it, I think you're going to love that. They're going to talk about Johnny Canine or Bruiser Bedlam. Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Bruiser Bedlam. I got to see him all the time being where I live, but the guy had a sordid past, let's just say that. The guy had some crazy stuff he was into, so that'll be interesting. And I know there's going to be one on the Smith family, so there's another one I don't know what it is. I think it's kind of a mystery, probably for a reason. Maybe if people knew, they wouldn't allow it. I don't know, but everybody needs to watch it. Really cool stuff. Excited for it. But my friend, this one comes down to that time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is now time for our main event of the evening. I'll never do that again.
Ow.
What are we covering?
Today, in preparation for the Royal Rumble coming up, we are going to talk about the show of the same name of 1995.
95 Royal Rumble.
And I'm sure most people know what this is just from hearing the year and what happened in the Rumble, but we're going to cover it anyway.
Yeah, man. 1995 Royal Rumble is stupendous. It's one of the best. I know, very objective, right? Everybody has their favorite Rumbles. I won't say this is my favorite because it's not, but it's definitely not the least. It is. It's hard to really, they're all really good for their own reasons, but 95 is in my top 5.
It's up there.
Yeah, really good.
It seems that most people were in agreement with you in the field of it was good, but not as good as it maybe could have been.
Right.
In the end, it got a thumbs up rating of about 68%.
Oh, well.
Which isn't bad.
This day and time.
It's not the best. So apparently, in this time in WWF was a time of not exactly strong talent depth.
No, it was the new generation. It was really changing everything. We went through the steroid trial. That had been taxing. We had the World Bodybuilding Federation come and go. We had things like the Lex Express. We had all this craziness, over the top cartoony characters, and just mounds and mounds of BS, honestly.
Well, as it's put here, there was Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart at the top. Then secondary superstars that everyone recognizes like Razor Ramon, Diesel, Lex Luger, and Owen Hart. And then the rest of the WWF comes off like a bunch of guys named Joe that nobody cares about.
Well, that's one of those things that history, I guess, is written by the victors, so to speak. And those guys all died of drug overdoses. So that's not true. Some of them were steroid overdoses. But that was a great roster. It was a great roster in retrospect.
Right.
It was a great roster if you look at what happened to the roster later on, or if they weren't in WWE, so to speak. Let's see, like a Skip and Zip or a Tom Pritchard, Chris Candido.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I would take Tom Pritchard and Chris Candido to start a federation at any time period. If I could have people from any time period, I would take those two first.
Right.
And because Tom could work with a wet blanket and we could make the wet blanket a champion. Chris had this ability to be believable, like he was aggressive. And the cool thing about Chris Candido, and we'll get back to where we're going on this, but this is about that roster at that time of people that were really badly used.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
They brought in the Body Donnas and they shaved off Tom's hair.
Oh, no.
Yeah, his beautiful freaking hair, which was his gimmick.
Yeah.
And they brought it in, put him with Chris because they had similar bodies. But I wouldn't call him, this is no knock on Tom or Chris, but I wouldn't call him body guys. I mean, right. Chris, yeah, he ended up being quite the body guy, but just a couple of years earlier, he was like junior champion and really bringing some prestige to the NWA title. I mean, there was some stuff with Chris Candido that was really cool. When he first started with Smokey, I was there on his debut, and he was just fire, man. He was young, and he had this drive, this wrestling knowledge that you can just tell the spark with people when they start that they're going to be something because they care about the business. And Tom is a friend of mine. Tom. He is a trainer of champions, and he has trained, I'm not even going to give the list. I'll tell you what, I'm going to try to get him on here for an interview, and we'll put it on the Patreon. And he can just go through his list, but he'll be just a few people,
Very humble.
And that's because that's what legends are. But anyway, It was a lot better than what they put over. But, there was some trash too.
Well, I can totally see WWF misusing people because they still do that.
You don't say.
But apparently, leading into this Royal Rumble, they put over Pamela Anderson being there far more than they marketed any of the wrestlers that were going to be on the card. And they also didn't really clue her into what was happening because it didn't seem like she even really wanted to be there.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you had Tommy Lee's hog waiting for you out in the car, I mean, there's no reason to even care. And those of you who are not old school and don't remember, like, the original leaked tape would be Tanya Harding's wedding night. And we all got real excited about that. That's back when we had to get tapes, copies of the damn tapes.
To order it.
And we would, a friend would always have it. And so hers, but then the one I can remember after that, the first internet thing to hit in the early days of the net was Pam and Tommy. And I remember when there's two things that scared me on that video. Pam's genitalia, because I lost all even inkling of caring about going there.
Right. You lost all interest.
And Tommy's genitalia. Because Tommy, that's when I found out, was a mutant.
Oh, no.
And it wasn't even one of those things that, like, if I was a chick, I'd be like, oh, hey. No. No. Not going to go to Pound Town. The guy's a great drummer. Right. I saw Crew was my first concert. It was the first time I got stoned.
But you wouldn't sleep with him.
No, I wouldn't sleep with him from the pure fact of he was in Motley Crue. And the nastiness that was abounding. But other than that, the whole baby's arm holding an apple with Ric Flair?
Yes.
This was like a helmet-wearing 3-year-old. Oh, no. Holding a tangerine. That
does sound like a mutant. Oh no.
So anyway, yeah, she wasn't into it. It was one of those things where, you remember when Mike Tyson was on AEW and they caught him yawning?
Yes.
And I could have killed him.
Yeah, you were really mad about that.
It was just, she was yawning without yawning.
It even says that she almost ruined the end because she started laughing at Shawn Michaels. Before getting the heck out of the ring, like she was like, I got better places to be.
Yeah, she did. Of course,
so
she's since went to shit in a Hogzader, so.
They went the wrong route with that one, I think. Another place that they probably maybe went a little wrong was the commentary. It was Vince McMahon, but the commentary didn't really know a lot of what was going on. They seemed distracted to the point that there was like a somersault plancha and they didn't know what to call it.
Right.
Like, they were not totally there, I don't think.
And I'm guessing you're getting this from The Observer?
Yes.
Okay, so Uncle Dave, he's going to criticize things like that or call David Crockett the worst announcer of all time.
Right.
Things like that. Vince was spectacular.
Okay.
And I don't care if he knows it's a tope or a toupee. You know what I'm saying?
You just like listening to him?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. What he has is the intangible. So he's going to sit there on an otherwise boring match, right? Let's say it's Doink. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be like, it's Doink the Clown. He's going to get revenge for your soul. Here it comes, pal, right now. Doink's going to wet that finger and stick it right up your ass. You want it in your ass? Do you like the clown thumb in your ass? And I'm going to be, at that point.
You're going to be into it.
My cheeks are spread. And I'll be like, give me the clown finger, man.
So it doesn't matter as much to you that he maybe didn't know which member of Well Done was which?
No.
It just didn't even cross your mind.
It really doesn't because it's Well Done. And I was just hoping they were, going to go the way of...
Right.
So.
Well, that's fair. So we move on to our matches of Royal Rumble, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on all the matches because obviously what we care about is the Royal Rumble.
Is that main event?
Yes, but they still had matches before the main event, starting with a dark match of Buck Quartermain, a local Florida indie wrestler, pinning Brooklyn Brawler.
Oh, Steve Lombardi, our perennial best jobber of all time. And Steve Lombardi has done so many gimmicks, man. He's always been that guy that will do anything. And again, you can't sing praises of enhancement guys enough. Steve Lombardi could have been, I think, man, you go back 15 years before this moment, and he could have very well been the top guy in a Southern independent, like a really top Southern independent, because Steve can work his ass off. So,
right.
I guess he was trying out this indie guy probably in the dark match.
Yeah. Well, it only got half a star, but I'm sure it was an
I can't believe you rated it.
You watch it, you rate it.
Wait, he must have been there. I don't know how else he would have seen it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he went. Next, we had Jeff Jarrett winning the Intercontinental title from Razor Ramon in 18 minutes and 6 seconds. That was a 3 1/4 star match.
I would call this, honestly, 4 stars myself, because it's one of the ones that I don't have to even watch it to remember it, because I thought it was a damn good match. It was solid. Both guys are great workers. Jeff is doing the character up to its T, and it's kind of funny, man, the size he's packing on at this time, because when he goes back to Memphis, they would always mention it, because of, I don't know why. I guess he was working out really hard. But
well, he seemed to be a stand-up guy because it originally ended in count-out, and he said, I don't want to win that way, and called Ramon back into the ring, even after he got his knee clipped by Rhodey outside the ring.
Yeah, well,
so
the whole thing about that is he was a stand-up guy until he wasn't, when they wanted him to drop the belt to China, the Intercontinental title, before he left to go to WCW and take the money. And he's like, I'm not gonna get beat by the girl.
He's like, no way.
So he held up the pay-per-view famously for his money, and he got his big payoff, did the job, went out of there. And when Vince bought it famously, that first night of having the simulcast of Raw and Nitro,
right,
when Vince bought it as a surprise, and they were on both channels, and he was like, oh yeah, JEFF JAEET, you're fired. And so it stayed like that. Jeff famously goes on to start TNA with his dad Jerry Jarrett from, as you guys all know on here, that's ran Memphis.
Right.
They started in Nashville, of course, and then one thing goes to another, and as wrestling is, never say never, because Jeff is one of the top office guys now in WWE as of the last couple of years.
There you go. You always come back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you always do. There's always a spot.
So next we had The Undertaker getting the win over IRS in a 12-minute match for 1 1/4 stars. And I imagine this had a lot to do with the fact that there were druids involved in the match that tried to do some screwery and screw over Undertaker, but it didn't work.
Yeah, and let me just say, I got to go off for a second. Is that okay?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so Undertaker, listen, man, I ain't got no problem with Taker. Okay, I ain't got a problem with Mean Mark Callis, Skyscraper Taker from the late 90s. I don't have a problem with that. I never had a problem, I just let it go because he stood up for the old school. He stood up for, he's one of those bad, he's like me. If somebody comes and shits on my locker room, I'm the first one going to punch you in the fucking face. It's just the way it works. And good or bad or indifferent, that's how it works. He was the policeman. I get it. I love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I never liked the Undertaker character because it was embarrassing for me to watch. And it's funny, but when you have to watch something with your dad and your dad is waiting to shit on the wrestling,
right?
I remember certain things from my life, like RoboCop coming out on WCW.
Oh God, I've heard about that one.
And not being able to actually go up or down steps. So he could only chase the guys to, where there was a lift, and that was as far as he could go, and he didn't move fast at all. That was a horrible night for me. The other horrible night for me was watching Taker beat Hogan. Had the pain on because he's dead. Yeah. And there was the time that, Taker died and then he ascended up. And then there was a time
very believable. There
was a time that the lightning struck and everything and he was reborn.
Right.
I think they've killed him a couple of times. Of course, they killed Paul Bearer that time. And, there's been countless bullshit, stupid angles.
Well, this time IRS stole the urn.
Well, yeah, exactly. The urn that he took, the magic urn that he took power from. Now, this is the guy who's on Joe Rogan, talking about, I don't know, man. It ain't like it used to be, man. It ain't like it used to be. It's how it really is, man. Now, these guys out there flipping-flopping, standing outside the ring, and the little cute asses go off and shining like they do like around things, and they hit outside and jiggle a little bit, and but they get outside, and it just doesn't make sense, man. Where's the psychology? Where is the psychology?
Where's the magic urn?
Of somebody holding a fucking urn that gets you up? Where's the psychology of the top guys beating the fuck out of you laying on your goddamn back and lifting up? Okay? Where selling piece of shit. Okay? I could put a fucking geriatric in that gimmick, obviously, if you look at the last 10 years of your matches. Okay? I could put you in that match, back then. I could put old man Festus from down the damn hallway here. And he could get in there and go, hold on a second, what am I supposed to do? All you got to do is lift up after they fake punch you for 10 minutes, okay? You won't feel a thing. They'll take care of you, but it's our top guys. Usually that punch, ends it for somebody, knocks them out. But what we want you to do, why don't you take this leg drop that finished everybody from, Andre to King Kong Bundy or whatever. I want you to just lift up. Just sit up, look over at them. And, when you look over at them, they're going to be really scared. And, maybe it'll be Yokozuna or somebody. They'll jump out of the ring and completely ruin their whole legacy. That would be really cool, wouldn't it? And, then, because you're dead, right? So you're obviously alive and you're obviously unbeatable, right? So we're going to keep putting you over, and you can put people in body bags, and then they'll wrestle 2 matches later because, it's TV tape and we can only afford so many, pal. Put them out there, right? And it's great because 10 years into the business, you can start calling something old school, because you've been around for 50 years. It's cool. Timeless, man. And then after a while, you wrestle really good there. You might have a couple sabbaticals there in that first 7-8 years of matches, but then why don't you just come back for Mania each year? You know what? Don't worry about it. We've got guys that's been there all year, worked their ass off year. They don't need to be on Mania. Screw those guys. Let's give you the semi-main event every year. And, because the people want it, right? We keep you special. We'll bring you back once a damn year. You can work out for 4 months to get ready for that. Then you come out and you still can look like crap and have your knobby knees and your bionic freaking hip and all that stuff and look pretty embarrassing, actually, except for, all the kids that were marks that are going to cheer for you. That'd be really cool, wouldn't it? If you don't have a fucking heart attack in the fucking match. Now listen, all right? I would never, ever have said any of that because I know so many people love Taker, okay? I know that right now there's people out there that are probably angry at me. All right. But my problem with it is when you generalize and you talk about a locker room, you talk about all locker rooms now, you talk about how soft they are because they like video games. And back when you started, everybody had guns and knives. Listen, pal, I know a locker room right now where they all got guns and knives. It doesn't make it any better. All right.
It's not as much fun.
It doesn't mean I enjoy being in there. I don't think they're more manly. I think they're a bunch of pussies because they have to have guns and knives. think back to something like Friday. There's some good advice from the dad in Friday. Oh, you need boys, these right here. See these, Craig? This is a real man, okay? And I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. Listen, I just got a little problem. If it had been Barry Windham. If Barry Windham had done an interview with Joe Rogan, and Barry Windham was like, well, I just don't like it these days. The guys, they all sit and wait for somebody to dive, which, by the way, if you even watch AEW, they've not been doing that for a long time.
They fixed it.
They make sure that it's part of the match. Either it's timed at such a way the guy's walking around and he gets dove on, or the guys will physically hold their opponent while the other guy dives.
Or they're distracted by something.
Or distracted. It makes sense. We didn't like it either, okay?
They took that criticism,
and
they fixed it.
Yeah, we didn't like it either, and it gets better. But here's just a crazy thought. Instead of going on the biggest podcast known to mankind that's going to be heard by everybody, probably cause a little bit of disruption and anger and all this, instead of doing that, instead of doing like some of the other people do, I don't know, like if you're the broadcaster for a company, instead of going on and shitting about what they're doing, why don't you go into the locker room, ask your boss, say, hey, Mr. Boss, can I have 10 minutes with the boys? Hey, boys, I appreciate what all you're doing. I never did it myself because I'm a fat piece of shit. But I really appreciate what you guys do. And I just want to tell you what I learned from watching people throughout my, I used to be young, fatter piece of shit, but I enjoy watching it. And it used to be a little bit more realistic. It was just more realistic. So let me tell you about the dives. And, there's a better way to do it. And Taker, you can go in there and take them all guns and take them all knives,
Take away their video games.
Yeah, just here you go, or at least play a shooter, right? Give them all Call of Duty. Let's meet somewhere in the middle.
Bring in the Duck Hunter game.
Let's old school, yeah.
An arcade game.
Yeah, where you can have the toy plastic gun and go at it. I mean, that would be good. Now, I hate to do this, I really do. But it's ridiculous. If you've ever been resurrected from the dead as part of your character, if you've ever had a cinematic match with AJ Styles, if you've ever been the driver, mysteriously, of a limousine that is going to turn around and take somebody off to kill them or whatever, if you've ever been a leader of a ministry on storyline to like crucify Stephanie,
Maybe rethink your words.
You may not be the best one to tell me about realism or how to do it with believability, because I'd much rather see 6 sons of bitches standing there with their thumbs up their ass waiting for a dive. I could at least explain that to somebody in a room. I'd be like, yeah, they're stupid, or they love pain. It's a respect thing. It's like wiping. It's they wipe their feet off before they get in the ring.
Right.
Well, for the old school guys, they like to stand there and take the pain. It's the same thing.
It's just a matter of respect.
But what you can't explain is somebody dying and then being raised up with a laser light show.
That's a little tougher to explain.
Or being buried alive. The good old buried alive matches. With that obvious real hole in the middle of a arena.
Right.
Where they have the dirt, floor.
Of course.
I mean, come on, man. Come on. And I will say this. I will wrap this all up with a nice, neat bow and say, I feel that it's a work. I feel that it was said to promote a WrestleMania match, that he's not really retired, and they're going to have him in some cinematic match at WrestleMania against some pretty young boy that likes to play video games, like, I don't know, a member of New Day.
I mean...
That was the first one to say anything.
If their history is anything to be believed.
The first one to say anything. The very first one was Xavier Woods. That was the first one to say anything.
Right.
Now, he's talented. I mean, he's got so much talent. It's oozing out. I mean, very talented, but very underused.
Yes, definitely.
He's the only one out of Kofi, Xavier, and Big E that's not had that big singles push.
We need that then.
So I think...
Him and the trumpet.
Yeah, I think that you could have him go against Taker in a cinematic masterpiece.
I could totally get behind that.
Yeah.
It'd be hilarious.
Exactly, right? So it's probably a work, and when it is, I will publicly apologize to nobody.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the Undertaker versus IRS match was heavily voted the worst match of the card, at a tune to 157 for that match. and number 2 getting 14.
And it sucks for Mike Rotunda because he was such a good worker at one point, and when he went into do the IRS gimmick, I don't know, man. I think he just got too much into the gimmick or something. IRS never did it for me, but obviously, you know, thank God for him, or we wouldn't have the Fiend. So, Daddy Rotunda there gave us the one good kid and that other kid.
The other kid, that other one.
No, I love them both.
Well, we move on from the worst match of the night to the match that was voted the best match of the night, which was Diesel retaining the WWF title in a no decision with Bret Hart. 27-minute match.
The cool thing about this, if you've never seen this match, but you've seen other Kevin Nash matches, you need to go out of your way to watch this match. It is the best Kevin Nash match of Kevin Nash's career, in my opinion.
Got 4.25 stars.
IMO, it is the best Kevin Nash match of his entire life. Now, you could say that it was because he wrestled Bret Hart.
Right.
And you'd be exactly right. It takes two to tango, man. You know?
Bret Hart was trying to play the heel, but he was still getting cheered the most. They weren't booing Diesel, but they were cheering Bret Hart more than they cheered for Diesel. And the only time that they even slightly turned on Bret Hart was when he hit him in the knee with a chair.
So as a kid, I had a big giant Bret Hart poster on my wall when he was still in the Hart Foundation. Mm-hmm. Even in Hart Foundation, because I would sneakily get tapes from Stampede Wrestling, I got to see Bret as a badass doing some great matches. I mean, anybody who's ever watched any old Bret Hart Stampede stuff, you know already. But as a kid, I loved Bret Hart. I mean, his toy, his LJN was my world champion before he ever had a singles push. I just loved everything about him. He looked great. His promos, people can say what they want to about him, but I always believed him because I feel like Bret believed him. Mm-hmm. And my favorite angle in the history of WWE angles ever is him and Shawn when Bret was a babyface in Canada and Shawn was the babyface in the States, and the other was booed out of the building. And they were, at the time, they were doing a lot of Canadian towns and a lot of United States towns.
Right.
It's the most epic thing to ever watch episodically. You know, if we go through that whole run of that angle,
right,
it's so fantastic because it was natural. You can't write what the fans are going to react.
No, they just change depending on where you are.
Bret was talking about how nasty United States is, how they don't take care of their old, how they don't care that, you know, and
fair.
Famously talked about the armpit of the United States where they were, you know, really good stuff. But the Canadians are like, yeah, we totally agree with you. What's that all about?
You're right. Well, the reason this match was a no contest is because there were a couple run-ins that they didn't call for DQ. Obviously, it was a championship match, and they probably didn't want it to end that way. But at the end, Shawn Michaels, Owen Hart, Bob Backlund, Jeff Jarrett, and Rhodey all ran in to attack both the guys. And then Bob Backlund got Bret in a chicken wing while everyone else got on Diesel. And then Diesel chased everyone out. And they shook hands, and it was over.
You mean the Bloodline?
Yes, the Bloodline.
So
I didn't know if you were going to talk about that.
So little Bob Backlund fun in here. There is a Bob Backlund family member. Now, I don't know if it's like his third cousin, okay? Because when they just say family member, it feels like it's some abortion. You know what I mean? Like
they don't want to mention how they're related.
Like it feels like that it was, you know, some rat in Indianapolis had this kid and said it's a Backlund. I don't know. Maybe it's his grandchild. I don't know. But all I know is on the Nightmare Factory show on YouTube, if you watch the first episode, I don't know if there's a second episode, but if you watch the first episode, there's this announcer, man. And talk about not knowing your product. Mm-hmm. There's two things, and that was the two things I had to turn off.
Yes.
One of them was the Backlund kid does a chicken wing. And instead of pulling out the fact about, well, you know, there you go, there's Bob Backlund and his chicken wing, you know, that's the Backlund standard right there, folks. He's like, he calls this the Bloodline. He didn't put over the chicken wing part. He didn't put
mention
over
it at all.
Yeah, he didn't put over anything like that. Of course they call it the Bloodline. And the other thing, oh my God, you want to tell him what the other thing was?
Oh, the other thing was one kid whose name escapes me at the moment. He did a move. I believe it was a power slam, but the announcer called it an Olympic slam. He said, I believe he calls that the Olympic slam.
Yeah.
And so a few minutes pass, and the kid does an actual Olympic slam. And he was like, oh no, I have to correct myself. That's the Olympic slam.
Yeah, so if you're going to call wrestling and you don't know what an Olympic slam is, don't call wrestling. Moving on.
Moving on. With one more match before the Rumble. It was 1-2-3 Kid and Bob Holly winning the WWF tag titles in a tournament final over Bam Bam Bigelow and Tatanka.
Wow. So there's a lot to unpack here. First off, we've got the Tupac heat, obviously.
Of course.
So a little X-Pac action in this one. So it sounds like actually, man, that's a strange tag team. X-Pac and Bob Holly is, because Bob Holly's just a bruiser. He's just a killer. He's just angry. The guy was just born angry. He punched a doctor. You know what I mean? Like X-Pac, 1-2-3 Kid, one of the best workers ever in the business. You know, he's one of those guys. He's exciting. He can make an amazing match out of something that shouldn't have any right to be a good match. And you got Bam Bam Bigelow, which is one of the best big guys ever in the business. He's one of my favorite workers ever in the business. He's my buddy's, my cornerstone of my wrestling stable that I've managed now for, how long have I managed Chris Richards? Oh, God. See, 2014, 16 years, 17 years.
Yeah, 17 years.
Yeah, I've managed Chris Richards for 17 years. He is, I call him the cornerstone, but Bam Bam Bigelow is his guy. He's got some Bam Bam Bigelow gear.
Right.
It's not exactly the same. It's just a homage.
Right.
A homage.
Homage.
Yeah, but great match. What'd they give it?
It got 3 3/4 stars.
Hey, man.
And it was kind of a storytelling match because 1-2-3 Kid ended up getting the roll up on Bigelow.
Yeah.
And then Lawrence Taylor laughed at Bam Bam Bigelow for getting pinned by 1-2-3 Kid, and he shoved him. And it was leading up to
Mania.
Yeah. So Kid and Holly lost the titles the next night in Florida to the Smoking Guns. But
yeah, well, you know, that Lawrence Taylor, Bam Bam Bigelow, Lawrence Taylor, man, you talk about a celebrity that came in to have a match that you don't expect to do. I mean, there's a certain Snoop Dogg coming off the top level you expect with people that are celebrities.
Right.
You know, and Lawrence Taylor came out there and, man, it was a damn good. I'm sure we'll cover it at some point, but it was a damn good match.
Well, that's good. At least one celebrity knows what they're doing.
Yeah, a couple.
A couple. Depends if you grew up watching wrestling or not, I think.
Yeah.
If you actually enjoy it.
Yeah, it does. Quite a bit.
So that brings us to the main event of the evening, the Royal Rumble. And we had a jam-packed Rumble, 30 guys, and this year they changed the Rumble entries to 1 minute instead of 2 minutes. So it kind of went a little faster and they didn't have to worry as much about waiting around for people, I guess. So
yeah, I think I like 2 minutes.
You like 2 minutes better?
Yeah, I do. Just because you can actually do some spots and stuff.
Well, we started out with Shawn Michaels as number 1 and the British Bulldog as number 2. So they started out, and for the first minute, they just sort of, went at it.
Yeah.
And then Eli Blue came out. And the point of this Rumble, it seemed, was that the big focus was going to be on Shawn Michaels and Davey Boy Smith.
Yeah.
And a lot of the talent got in and got right back out. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of focus on most of the guys in this match. They just got in, they were thrown out, and that was it. And life went on.
Yeah, well, I mean, Eli Blue, obviously Eli and Jacob Blue, that's your Bruise Brothers, Ron and Don Harris, and man, listen, I'm one of the biggest Ron and Don Harris fans out there. Love the guys, and Brian Lee too. That whole family is just freaking amazing. 6'5", know, they're monsters. When they had the wild hair and the furry boots, that was my favorite. They had some, other gimmicks, but listen, when I was there when these guys first, really started, and they would brawl, man. They would punch fans in the face. They were just wild as hell. But they never got the shake they needed in WWF. I didn't like the gimmick there.
Well, people started coming in. We had Duke Drosy, Jimmy Del Rey, Sione, and Tom Pritchard.
Wow, it's like a reunion there.
Doink the Clown.
Well, hold on, slow down a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
So Sione, obviously, is the Barbarian, and the Barbarian is man, I love Barb. He's amazing. He's an amazing human being. He's an amazing worker. He still works and still looks as good as ever to this day. He is magnificent, man. But the only thing he'll ever tell you about is how great Haku is. Like in the locker room, he'd just be like, "Oh, it's Haku, brother. Haku could have been could be an MMA champion, man. Yeah, I could bad.
Well, he's got a good legacy going.
Yeah, I mean, he does, don't he? But the first time I ever had anything to do with Barb, I was managing against Barb. Mm-hmm. And that's when I figured out I never want to do that again.
No thanks.
So he pulled nothing. And it looked good. It all looked good.
Looked real.
Yeah, amazing, huh? So after that, somehow I ended up being on his side every time. And anytime I've got to work with him, which has been several times, I've got to manage him. And the last time I managed him was just last year at the Bobby Eaton Tribute Show. So we went against Jax Dane. Great match. It was a lot of fun. Man, I love Barb. That was a special night. Just having Les Thatcher in gorilla position, for me, gave me tingles.
Oh, that was a great night.
And, coming back and Les being like, yeah, you boys are on time. Just, it was magic having, Cornette and Les Thatcher and all these guys around. It just makes you feel giddy.
Right.
It makes you feel giddy.
Like
but
you're living in your childhood dreams.
Oh, yeah. And Dr. Tom, obviously, it was at the training facility anyway. So
right.
Dr. Tom was there. So everybody in this match here, man, you got some good workers, dude. Some good workers.
It's sad that they didn't get to do much.
Yeah.
So Doink the Clown, as I said. Any commentary on Doink the Clown?
Nah, there were several doinks. I think this was still Matt Bourne, maybe.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I'm not a doink aficionado.
So actually, that was the third doink by that point because Matt Bourne was gone. He didn't want to turn babyface. He disagreed with it. So he was gone from the company because he was the first doink and the best doink, if there's such a thing.
The only doink.
And so then it went to Dusty Wolf, which was normally a jobber. Mm-hmm. And then the long-term doink was Ray Apollo. And after that, you had like Steve Kern, unfortunately, my boy. Steve Kern did it as a part of an angle when there was multiple doinks. But Ray Apollo should have been the one in the 95 Rumble.
Alrighty then. That's your doink history of the day.
There you go.
After doink, we had Quang.
Yep.
Rick Martel.
The model.
And then Owen Hart came out, but was attacked by Bret Hart on the way to the ring.
Oh, such a good story.
Probably redemption for earlier.
Yeah.
After that, we have Timothy Well and Luke Williams. And then Jacob Blue came out 2 minutes after his brother was eliminated, but because they hadn't really been on TV, everyone thought it was the same wrestler that had just been eliminated and were chanting. I guess they thought they did something wrong. Yeah. They didn't realize they were twins. Yeah. So that's kind of funny.
WWE, everybody.
Don't introduce the twins. Just throw them in a Rumble. It's fine. Yeah. And then King Kong Bundy. Mm-hmm. After that, Mo, Mabel, Butch Miller, and then Lex Luger comes in.
I don't know if I'll ever get to give you a Bundy story again.
Uh-huh.
So I got to give you a Bundy story.
Okay.
So July 4th, 2000, I was all the way over in Fort Campbell, Kentucky for the big July 4th for the troops there on the base.
Oh, wow.
There was, thousands of soldiers under a tent. Mm-hmm. And it was just awesome. They had all kinds of carny stuff up and everything. And it was, who was the booker on that? I hated the guy. The Great Yugo. I believe it was like the Great Yugo or something like that.
That's a great carny name.
Yeah, I can't remember. He had the heaviest ring known to man. I just remember.
Geez.
I remember loading and unloading that ring.
It's not the one with the railroad ties, is it?
No, it's not. It was the one made out of freaking Bosnian steel. It was unbelievable. But this night, I was in the locker room with one of the guys from my childhood that left a huge impression on me. It was King Kong Bundy, obviously, and Bundy's just bigger than life personality. He's loud, he's just funny, he's telling great stories. But here I am. You talk about ruining a childhood. I'll never forget this. I'm sitting beside Tony Falk from, World Class, Memphis, all that good stuff. I actually started out as an ICW job guy in this area. But anyway, I'm sitting there beside Tony Falk. And I just look over, and there's King Kong Bundy and Little Kong, as all 500 pounds of Bundy is sitting on a chair, man spreading and sack spreading.
Wow.
And I tried not to look. I did, but I didn't know which bald head was which, because it looked like two penises sitting there. But he
the glory of the wrestling business.
He was sitting there, and he was just like, You see that chick driving the bus? You see that? She was checking me out. All this like So it was horrifying, traumatizing. At someday when I finally seek professional help,
right,
this is going to come up.
Probably
the part about King Kong Bundy, and I believe it was his penis talking to me.
Maybe that's what your head is telling you.
Like looking back in history, I believe that's what was happening. It was telling me, you know. But yeah, Bundy is quite the character. Rest in peace, man.
So Lex Luger, I believe, is where we left off.
It was.
He came in, followed by Mantar,
Moo!
Aldo Montoya, Henry Godwin.
Yes.
And then both smoking guns, Billy Gunn and Bart Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bob Backlund came out, also attacked by Bret Hart in the aisle on the way to the ring.
Free fall.
He did put a chicken wing on him earlier.
Yes.
So, Stephen Dunn, then Dick Murdoch, Adam Baum, Fatu, and Crush. And that's our 30
See, there's a lot of talent there, man. I mean, there's a lot of talent. You got Dick Murdoch, which I don't remember Dick being there at the time. So that must have been when they threw in there, because I mean, maybe he was. I know they've had so many people in and out, but
they just don't use them correctly.
But Dick Murdoch is one of the greatest, workers ever, and you have Fatu in there, obviously. Just badass, amazing, just good stuff. So I don't know, man. It wasn't that bad but the characters were terrible.
Right. They just didn't utilize the talent properly.
Yeah, it was really
and
bad.
It showed.
Really bad character. So where do we get to on this?
So we get to the final four, which is Crush, Lex Luger, Davey Boy Smith, and Shawn Michaels, obviously. So Shawn Michaels and Crush make a deal, and Crush dumped Lex Luger out.
Right.
And then Crush turned on Shawn Michaels and pressed him overhead, but Shawn Michaels landed in the ring, and Davey Boy Smith clotheslined Crush over the top, leaving Davey Boy Smith and Shawn Michaels
1 and 2
in the ring.
Yeah.
After that whole match,
what a feat.
all those entrants. So Shawn Michaels is taking bumps for Davey Boy Smith, and then he gets clotheslined over the top, but he holds on to the rope, and one of his feet touches the floor.
Yes.
But only one.
Right.
And they didn't know it at the time because they started playing Davey Boy Smith's music. It said he won, but Michaels pulled himself back up and over, and he knocked Davey Boy Smith over the top, and he wins. And then they show the replay showing that only one of his feet touched, which is an amazing feat. Dun-dun-dun. Yes. And he wins the Royal Rumble in one of the most awe-inspiring wins that anyone can remember in a Rumble.
Yeah, man. It was... Because this has been tried a few times, stuff like this. Famously, I can remember John Cena supposed to hold on, and they touch at the same time. That was an interesting one. And there's been things that were supposed to happen, weren't supposed to happen. I know one of the funniest ones ever. Steve Austin's first Rumble. He's supposed to. They're actually putting him over. He's supposed to go into the Final Four.
Right.
And he still had like the buzz cut. So he's supposed to go into the Final Four. Well, that wasn't in the plans for everybody. And who was it that gave him the damn clothesline? It might have been Rikishi. I can't remember, but one of them gave him the clothesline. He was supposed to go backwards over the top rope and hold on.
Right.
And come back in. Well, he clotheslined his ass so hard
he didn't come back in
that he hit the floor.
Oh no.
And it was funny as hell because, he was supposed to be in the final spot there.
Right.
And
they had to figure shit out.
Yeah, the Final Four, you would have called some shit, right? It's not just a normal battle royal.
Yeah.
But that's one of my favorite mess ups that ever happened in one.
That's hilarious.
There's been several because you never know what's going to happen with that many guys out there. It's just the way it works. But this, obviously, it wasn't like 60 minutes. It should have been, with the shorter time, probably 35 minutes, something like that.
38 minutes.
There you go, 38 minutes. And
it's a 3.5-star Rumble.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, most of them will get a high rating. Most of them are well thought out. Pat Patterson knew what he was doing when he came up with the idea, and you barely ever see just a horrible Rumble. Now, there's been one.
Yeah.
There's been a couple.
Yeah.
But
in more recent years.
Yeah, but more than not, the Rumbles are great. And they're always to build the WrestleMania. So it's really the kickoff of WrestleMania season.
And it's starting to build.
Yeah,
Start pointing at the sign.
This year, I'm excited about the Rumble. and not because of anything Raw's done, but from, the SmackDown side of things.
They've done a good job on that half.
You never know who's going to show up. But this, like Rajja said, it's iconic. Everybody's seen the imagery. Everybody's seen Shawn holding on and doing the tink, and
the toe tap.
Yeah, getting back in. Oh, I know what one of the other ones was. I remember. Freaking Macho Man. Okay, Macho Man would eliminate himself multiple times. Like he did a gimmick on top of, I think, Yokozuna, and he was laying on him, and Yoko's supposed to push up, and he was so powerful it throws him over the top, whatever, and instead he didn't quite do it correctly, and Macho Man looks like he stands up, jumps over the top, and just hits the floor.
Oh no.
It looked like he was just like, well, hell with this.
Just leaving.
And then the other one that Macho did, he was angry at somebody. So he's always done that thing where he jumps to the floor and will start pounding on somebody, and because he always slaps the mat when he goes over the top, because he's pissed off, he's gonna fight you. He did that, and I remember Monsoon trying to cover it up, and Monsoon was like, "No, you have to be eliminated. Somebody has to throw you over the top," which was not the rule at all.
Right.
And
you just have to go over the top. Right?
We've proven that many times. It's not the case.
Right.
But he got to stay in.
Yeah.
That was one of those times.
That's hilarious.
No, Royal Rumble's always fun. This one's fantastic. I would suggest if you haven't seen it, shame, we know your name. You need to go watch it. You need to go see some of the magic and just put yourself through some of these matches. See if you think they're 3 stars or 4 stars. The Razor Ramon match is great. The Diesel match, go check that out and watch the Rumble. You need something to do. Why not do this?
Get ready for this Rumble by watching this other Rumble.
and be sure to go watch the Taker match and see how psychology's done.
You got to see that realism.
Yeah, I mean, guns and knives, folks. Guns and knives. Again, I don't make it a habit of going off much, but
maybe once per episode.
But
depends what we're talking about.
When it is what it is, that just kind of, I don't know. That kind of gets me. I will tell you something funny. Can I tell him something funny, something a little kayfabe?
Sure.
You don't mind?
I don't mind.
So Chase Owens is in from Japan right now. He's an unofficial family member. Let's just say that. Chase came in and we're watching a program together. And as we're watching the program, I'm trying to be as kayfabe as possible, but Rajja had been dying because the Mizark in Rajja just remembers the whole past year of New Japan and the Bullet Club interfering and killing the sanctity of New Japan.
To be fair, it's not Chase's fault.
So she got it out. She got it off her chest. We'll just say that.
Rein in your boys.
She got it off her chest. So that was funny. That is.
Listen, I can't help it. I just want my wrestling to be good, honest wrestling.
Good, honest wrestling. I don't know if those.
No.
If those
you know what I mean.
I do.
I don't mind interference and cheating, but there's a point when it becomes too much, when it's every single match. I just, it gets tiring.
It does, and that's why you don't watch certain programs. But, I love the fact that AEW's had, no DQs?
Mm-hmm. I think it's either none or very few.
Maybe one?
Maybe.
They have finishes.
Yes.
And that's very important. Obviously, New Japan learned their lesson on that years and years ago. But, listen, we got some big things coming up. We're trying to get our timeline correct here. We'll have it correct. We'll have everything going the normal night and all this good stuff, the normal time for things to be uploaded. Sometimes life does happen, but we're trying our best here to get it up and have that kind of fun. So, but if you like what you hear, and how could you not? Really? I mean, come on. You liked it. You know you liked it. If you like what you hear, go to BT Wrestling Pod. And not wrestling. I just talk like that. BT Wrestling Pod. And that would be on Facebook, BT Wrestling Pod. On Twitter, BT Wrestling Pod. On Instagram, BT Wrestling Pod. And on Patreon. We're on Patreon. You will get some exclusive content, folks. You're going to get exclusive episodes. You're going to get watch-alongs. And we might have to explain where at YouTube we're watching it if it's not on the network. And we'll just do that on the episode.
How to pull that up.
Yeah, how to get that thing going there, wink, wink. So we're going to be doing the Bluegrass Brawl this week. And, we're going to try to get you in some other cool stuff. And just a lot of fun going on, folks. we're really looking forward to this. We got some special surprises and some things like that on the Patreon.
You don't want to miss it.
And you also want to get your shirt. I'm telling you, I'm looking at Purple Monkey right now. The Purple Wrestling Monkey is sitting here grabbing his junk. I got him all excited with the Undertaker stuff. He's been raising up and looking over at me over and over and over, just trying to bait me in. So I'm gonna get off here and beat the crap. I'm gonna spank the monkey here in just a minute. But for the mysterious, lovely tarot reading, interference-hating Rajja, my name's John. So long from Blind Tag Wrestling Podcast.
See ya.